I'm around that game of football, man, and I just love it.
Hey, Coach. Before we get started, I wanna transition. We may have a people on our prayer line, uh, and so I want to make sure that the bishop has an opportunity to bless those folks who desperately may need a blessing.
Well, thank you, Rocky. You know, they call me the bishop, but the church is open to all. It doesn't make a difference if you worship at the altar of FAMU, at the altar of Jackson State, at the altar of Prairie View, at the altar of Southern. We are all HBCU brothers and sisters. But there's a few of us that need a little bit of prayer after this past week. So the prayer line has to start off. First of all, we got to start off with them Southern Jaguars. The Southern Jaguars need a prayer because they say when they come to your city, they drink up all the liquor and eat all the food. Clearly looking at them stands, they stayed at home in Louisiana and watched the Saints beat the Dallas Cowboys behind. They did not make that trip. So we're going to say a prayer for them. So hopefully they will go on over there to Prairie View to get their mojo back. That's the first prayer. Now, the next prayer we got to say is actually for, and I found this out, Coach, you do not call it PV. You do not call it PV-A&M. You call it PV-A&M-U.
Wow.
That's what they told me. So I'm going to say a prayer for PV-A&M-U because they play those Southern Jaguars that I just spoke about. And if they lose that game, they're going to be going to church early and often because their season will be over. So we're definitely going to...
Can I piggyback off of that? Coach?
Absolutely. We're always prayer.
I talked to some of them old Panthers. Man, I hate to say it. They said, boy, we felt like the Panther of old. And we didn't win no game. So, man, it's a sad time over there, Coach Watson.
We're gonna find out really quick. And the next prayer definitely has to go to Alabama State. We have heard that they've lost another quarterback. So now they potentially will be down to their fourth quarterback. They said the other kid might be coming back, from what I've been told. But we're just going to say a prayer for Eddie Rob because he's a friend of the show. We love what Eddie Robinson does. So what we really want to see is Alabama be at their full strength because we want all our teams to be at full strength. So we're going to say a prayer for one of them quarterbacks to get healthy for Eddie Rob. And last but not least, we're going to go up that East Coast. And we're going to say a prayer for Norfolk State because the way Hampton's offensive line looked, it was hell on wheels, and the devil was definitely in the details up there on that East Coast. So we have definitely got to say a prayer for Norfolk because if they let any other team do them like that, Dawson Moses might not be there for the rest of it. He might be over here with us, Coach, on the coach's corner.
Well, you know how we help here, Coach. We put them out there and expose the people that sometimes you ain't in the right place at the right time. So we try to make sure that we get the guys in the right place at the right time and in the right position.
Absolutely. So we say a prayer to all of those that are lost and suffering. Let the church say amen. All right, Rocky, we're ready to go now.
Oh, now it's time for us to take a collection. I'd like to ask everybody at this time, if you're not watching on Rocky Miller channel, please at some point during this broadcast, go over to the Rocky Miller channel and subscribe. We would greatly appreciate that. If you feel so inclined, we'd also like you to send a super chat. Ask a question, make a comment, right? We certainly would appreciate your contribution. We do good work for the people. All right. So, Coach.
I like that, Rob. I like that.
So let's get to it. We had a very what I would call interesting week last week. We had a whole slate of games that don't factor into the championship race of the MEAC and the SWAC, but we had one particular battle that was very important to a lot of people. We'll get that lastly. We'll address that lastly on our recap. But I just wanted to put up the games that did take place and see if there are any interesting results or anything y'all want to mention. I actually saw one particular game on here that I thought was very entertaining, rather sloppy, but entertaining. But I'd rather get you guys' opinions. Anybody of these games that we have listed that caught your eye or you paid special attention to?
I like that Grambling Texas A&M Commerce game. This is why Mickey Joseph them are putting points on the board. They are moving the football It's always a great win when the HBCU schools beat a PWI. So that kind of stood out to me there, and the rest of them was sort of like, games that they also run. This is what we expected. So my hat goes out to Grambling and Coach Dooley and Coach Vicky Joseph over here.
Okay, Bishop Campbell, let me ask you this. Before we talk about Alcorn, because I definitely want to talk about that game, because Alcorn hadn't been able to do much offensively until Edward Waters showed up. But I want to look at University of Arkansas Pine Bluff being able to put 28 points on Tennessee State. What does that tell you about Tennessee State going into the OVC?
Well, once again, Draylon Ellis played a tremendous game in that game. I think the offense is there. I think, once again, the problem is, and what we always look, and we've heard a lot about this, and they talked about this a lot about the coach's call, is what did you get in the portal? Did you get players in the portal that you thought that were going to be? So on the offensive side, Draylon Ellis went for 20 to 33, 228 yards, 3 touchdowns, looked really good. Tennessee State ran for almost 200 yards, 196 yards rushing. Offense sounds good right there. But the problem is, you turn around and you let Mikael Higgins, who is now might be on my quarterback watch list, who threw for 276 yards and 3 TDs for Arkansas Pine Bluff. And he also had Javon Gibson, who went for 5 receptions and 150 yards and 1 TD. So what that says to me is, again, we're talking about a team that's picked last in the West, potentially one of the worst teams with them in Valley, being able to put up 28 points. If I'm Tennessee State, I'm worried about that. I'm really worried about that.
Well, as you see, Tennessee State's been in OVC. As a matter of fact, guys, I forgot to mention, it's our 25th reunion of us winning the last OVC championship that Tennessee State has ever won. We won a championship in 1998, of course, 99, and the 98 celebration will be this year. So it would be November the 23rd, last game of the year against SEMO. So just wanted to throw that in there. But like you say, Bishop, UAPB shouldn't be scoring 28 points on a Tennessee State team, especially when they're in that OVC. What do they call it? The South Conference now?
It's the Big South OVC, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, the Big South Conference. So it doesn't give Tennessee State any momentum of going through there or going to start their conference play.
Okay. Now, I want to talk about this one, Coach. And I'm gonna direct this to you. You go into 2 money games where you don't put up any points, and then Edward Waters comes to town and you put up 38. Does that help your confidence? Do you learn anything about your team playing Edward Waters?
The head coach at Edward Waters was one of my guys, Coach Morgan, Toriano Morgan, the head coach. And we had a good conversation this weekend about what took place. That game was almost it was 10-0 at halftime. And they were doing some things differently offensively and slowing the game up when the game kind of got away from them at the end. But they played them very tough. It's just 10-0 at half. So he felt good about that. When you talk about a moral victory, here's a Division II team playing a one Double A team and known Alcorn State championship team. And if you know about Edward Waters, he's going in there. He's trying to turn that program around. Does Alcorn take that win? Yes, especially when you're 0-2. Where do you want to be at 38-7? They'll go back and watch film. But sometimes a win is a win.
Okay. All right, Coach. Is there anything else before we go to the next slate of games and look over Bishop Campbell?
Hey, I want to just say something talking about Alcorn, because one of the things my nephew G, shout out to Swacking the Food, one of their biggest things they were crying about, can we get a quarterback to throw over 100 yards? Xavier Vaughn went for 18 to 26, 255 yards, no touchdowns thrown. But he did run for 12 carries, 96 yards, and run for 4 touchdowns. So is that the dual threat quarterback? Is Alcorn saying, hey, we can put it in this guy's hands? And then the question is, Alcorn's rushing, which they've always been known for. Next guy only had 34 yards rushing against Edwin Waters. That's concerning to me. That's the thing that I think Alcorn really needs to work on going into the SWAC season, because they're going to need to have that run attack to come along, because I don't believe Xavier Vaughn could just carry. I don't think he's that type of player that can go 200, 100 every game. So just Kevin May only having 34 yards, Tyler Macon only having 27 yards, and Tyler Macon's a quarterback. So again, rushing game only had 168 yards total. Like I say, Xavier Vaughn accounted for 100 yards of that. Again, Alcorn really needs to be worried about that. And I know that's something they're going to work on going into next week.
Well, if they're not running the wing T or the veer option, and the active quarterback leading the team, you're right, Bishop. They definitely got something to worry about. You got to get those tailbacks rushing that ball for hundreds, because that kid ain't gonna last. And hopefully, you see Alabama State struggling with quarterbacks. Hopefully, that kid don't get hurt. I look for Alcorn to put it all together next week, playing those two Division 1A teams. Let's hope they're getting things going in the right direction.
All right, Coach, we're gonna go to our next the next slate of games. And on this particular slate of games, the thing that kind of stands out to me is the dominant nature in which Hampton was able to handle Norfolk. And I got the wrong game listed here. This is supposed to be South Carolina against Georgia Southern. And so what about this that you guys saw, these slate of games that you saw kind of piqued your interest or piqued your attention?
Well, Norfolk, we was able to go to the SWAC MEAC Challenge. We thought we seen a good football team, Rocky. They had size. They had a backup quarterback, came in and done a great job of managing the game, and they was able to fall by one. And I'm gonna take words out of the head coach's mouth that they ran the ball up and down the court, up and down the field on the HBCU national championship team. So you wouldn't expect to see this happen. I don't know what was going on as far as the game, because I didn't get an opportunity to watch it. But when I look at the stats, as you say, Rocky, Hampton ran the ball at will on the Norfolk State team.
Yeah, and I'll let Bishop Campbell kind of comment to this, because this is
one of our games of the week that we looked at and that we really were checking out. Hampton on their side, Chris Ellis went for 20 25, 185 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Elijah Burris, who's their all-conference running back, went 23 carries, 77 yards. Chris Ellis also ran for 2 TDs. Tyrell Robinson, he scored 2 TDs on 11 carries, 39 yards rushing. But the thing about what Coach talked about, they ran over 100 yards on us. Kevon King against FAMU. He went 11 carries for only 22 yards. Jalen Daniels, once again, not allowing him to throw the ball, only through 6 passes completed, only through 12 passes, only completed 6 for 1 touchdown. You're just not going to win games like that. You're just not going to win games like that. And once again, I think we've looked at it. Remember, when we broke this team down, they had more total all-conference players than anybody else in the MEAC.
13.
So 13. So we're not going to say they don't have talent. Or better yet, people believe they have talent. So the question always goes back. If you have the talent, is it the coaches or is the talent not producing? So I think it's a little bit of both. And I think for me to be concerned is that Hampton went and ran for, like I say, ran for 227 yards. And I mean, I watched this game. I was really interested in this game because I knew that Hampton was going to be playing Howard next week. And to see the dominance on the offensive line, I was just really shocked by the score.
Well, let me ask you this, Bishop, as a part of the FAMU faithful and Rattler Nation, what does that win against Norfolk State look like when they only gained 104 yards total offense against Hampton? Like that is a performance that is not in keeping with a good team, right? And 2, if they were able to move the ball in the way that they were able to move it on you, what does that say about your defense when they weren't able to get up but 100 yards against Hampton?
Well, then I guess for me, so here's, I'm going to put my Rattler hat on. I can say it's a tale of 2 halves. Second half, they only ran for 50 yards and scored 9 points. So was that more indicative of Norfolk State, or was it the first half when they scored 14 points and ran for over 150 yards? So that's really what you kind of look at, because it was not a consistent thing with Norfolk State. They did their damage in the first half. We basically shut them down because we outscored them 24-9 in the second half. That's just, well, we went on a 24-9 run because part of that was part of the back end of the second quarter, going into third and fourth quarter. So again, I'm never one, because if you watch any championship team, I'm never one to say this game is going to be determinant of the next game, because each game is different. What I like to do is, again, to see is the team improving each and every week. That was first game, week 0. Did I see improvement? A little bit, not as much on the defensive side. I actually like what I saw from Miami game. I think for FAMU, we'll really see what we're all about when we play Alabama A&M. That'll give a true test of what FAMU is.
And let me say this, guys. There's two things happening here. Hampton either have to have a great defense, or Norfolk has not been creative enough on offense. When you look at the stats, you're looking at 466 total yard offense for Hampton to 104 for Norfolk. Evidently, you're not being enough creative on the offense side of the ball. A lot of times, and what I'm seeing what's happening in HBCU football is, they're playing with backup quarterbacks. And sometimes you got to get away of treating him like a backup, especially when you got great defense. You got to take some shots, because if you don't take shots with him, you become stagnant, you become predictable, and now people load the box. They put 7, 8 guys in the box to shut off what you do and forcing you to throw the football. So you have to throw the football. When you look at time of possession of this game, you're talking about 36 minutes, almost 37 minutes that Hampton had the ball compared to Norfolk's 23. Do you know what you're really saying is you see all these opportunities Hampton got to score? You're talking about 27 first down to 9. They dominated this game from start to finish. And you really, really got to get to start questioning, what is Norfolk doing on
it? Hey, Coach, I completely agree. And there's no doubt about who dominated this game. This is not even a question. But I wanted to correct a couple of things that I had on this particular slide right here. One,
we good, Coach. We all family, baby. We know we're gonna charge it to your head, not your heart.
So I'll just bring this game up. Did it surprise either of you guys that South Carolina State went into Georgia Southern and was not competitive? They lost 42-14.
Georgia Southern is a good program. Always have been, always will be. They get all the Georgia players. They get all the Georgia State players. They're a transitional football program. They're going to get good kids over there, and they're going to play some hard-nosed football. So no, it doesn't.
No, and I'm going to, as they say, I'm going to go back to, and Coach, I'm going to say a couple of names that I know you're going to know. You got to understand something. Georgia Southern was a 1AA power under Coach Russell. And they had a triple option quarterback named Tracy Ham that beat every team in the SWAC when they were playing the playoffs. So Georgia Southern, this is nothing new for them. They have always had a very strong program. They have a proud tradition. So again, they moved up a level now. But like I said, Georgia Southern has always been a strong program. And again, I remember Tracy Ham gave Jackson State utter hell when they played in one playoff game. And I think Alcorn might have played in 1 year too also. So again, this goes back to, like I said, Eric Russell, who was a famed defensive coordinator, played under their coach under Vince Dooley at Georgia. So this goes back long time.
Well, what's surprising is this: if you evaluate this game, it wasn't a complete statistical mismatch. Georgia Southern had 351 total yards, and South Carolina had 318. I know stats don't usually tell the whole story, but when you look at South Carolina having 19 first downs, Georgia Southern having 21 first downs, penalties being quite even, even with the rushing attack, Georgia Southern was only able to get 140 yards on 33 attempts, and South Carolina got 112 on 31 attempts. So again, even time possession, South Carolina, had led the game in time of possession. So this seemed like it was a more competitive in spirit than it was on the actual scoreboard. So that's good. And then the last game I want to correct on here is North Carolina Central scored 10 against UNC, who scored 45. Looking at the box score on this one, to be honest with you, North Carolina Central passed for 91 yards and ran for 76. They ended up giving up, 183 in the air and 330 on the ground. So, do you get anything out of that?
I want to make a quick point because, and I'm going to bring this up when we get to the Jackson State Southern game about how stats can really not tell you what the game is about. But I'll tell you one stat that you didn't mention, and Coach could talk about this. And I'm sitting up here just looking at this. South Carolina State has 6 punts compared to Georgia Southern's 3. So that means Georgia Southern defense was stopping them. They might have been moving the ball, but when it was time to get that 3rd and out, clearly Georgia Southern did that. So again, one of the stats that sometimes you got to look at is because if I'm going from a coach, you know this, how many times have you seen a team go from the 20 to the 40 and stall out, 20 to the 30 and stall out, 22 to 50 and stall out? You're getting 30, 40 yards right there. But again, if I stall you out and I make you punt, that's almost as good as a turnover. So we had 6 punts for South Carolina State. So that probably was the key to the game also.
And Coach,
stopping drives.
Coach, I also remember a game, and you may go back to this. This was 2 years ago, and Coach, and I looked at the stats and I didn't understand the game because it was a 24-0 game. TSU had defeated Prairie View, and I didn't understand how Prairie View could have twice as many rushing yards, twice as many passing yards in that game. And Coach reminded me that if your drives are 40 yards, 30 yards, 50 yards, you're just not going to you're not going to have a lot of yardage stats. But you're putting the ball in the end zone, and that's what really matters.
Right. That's definitely well. And then when you go back to the South Carolina State game and the Georgia Southern game, you're right, Coach. These stats are kind of staggering because when you look at time of possession, South Carolina State had the ball mostly. They had the ball 32 minutes, almost 32 and a half minutes, almost 33, according to Georgia Southern's 27. What stats got to tell you is that now you got to go start looking at the running backs and start saying when they did score, were they long yardage scores? You know what I mean? Were they one play 40-yard score, one play 30-yard score? That's what happens, guys, when these 1AA teams play these 1A teams. They get a pick for 70. They get a big run for 40. They get a big throw for 60. And it might be some player off the bench. One catch, 60 yards, a touchdown. So, stats do play a big role, and you could read them and tell, how the game went. And, and it's very difficult sometimes when you don't understand how to read the stats and look at the stats. So, and that's how some of these teams run away, and you'd be like, man, they beat them bad. But really, sometimes those teams be in there. And South Carolina State was in there, Coach. They were in this football game. That score is not addicted to what South Carolina State came in there and did. I'm scared I ain't gonna say I'm scared of South Carolina State. I'm saying watch South Carolina State. Just watch Coach Berry over there. You can we count Norfolk out now?
Coach, I'm telling you, I'm pulling out the Holy Water. Like I said, we'll see next couple of weeks, because they play Central. They should, and we'll talk about that. We'll look at that. I know they play Central soon, so we'll really find out if we take them to the upper room, Coach.
So now they play 4 games right over there. What is 6 teams over there, right? They play 5 conference games. So now they down 2 conference games. So now Hampton got to lose 2.
No. Hampton.
No. Hampton, they're in CIAA now,
right.
Coach.
They over in the
Yep.
other conference. That's right. That's my.
Now,
That's my
CAA.
Their
so
conference.
everybody, they still playing preseason games over there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me ask you this, Coach, and I have the score wrong, but I want to get your opinion on this. Alabama A&M played a NAI school in what was a very competitive game, 16-24. Now, I've heard a lot of people say the NAI school is a good program. They went to the finals, played in the championship, so on and so forth, But at the end of the day, Coach, it's an NAIA school. What does that game mean? Being as competitive, really, the game was in doubt all the way up until the end. Alabama A&M ended up winning 24-16. But what can you take away from that, Coach, when you're playing in NAIA school?
Well, you can tell that we need to start recruiting now, and getting us better for next year. Georgetown College. I mean, on the NAIA level, if you do a great job of going out and recruiting, you can get transfers in there, and all the kid has to have is 12 hours passed per semester he's been in school. So if he's been in school just a year and a half, and he's been out of school 2 or 3 years, but he's got 36 hours, and you can bring him in, and he don't play for the the Georgetown Skip Bowls, the semi-pro team, he still can come in and be eligible for your program. So if you do a good job at the NAI, you can get some good players in there. But naturally, you should be able to go in there as a 1AA football team and beat them handily.
I got to speak on this because I actually have a bet with a good, we have this beautiful HBCU community and we all are different chats and watch different shows. So a lot of people know my man, Jay White, member of Kappa Alpha Psi, a proud alumnus of Alabama A&M. And he bet me, first of all, he said they were going to win the SWAC. Said that Alabama A&M was going to beat FAMU and Jackson State. That's what it told me. And I bet him, and my bet looks even better. I said they would only win 2 SWAC games. I think they play Valley, and I think they play UAPB. And I told them they would not beat another SWAC team. I'm feeling really good about my bet right now because after what I saw here, and this is what I'm talking about, Coach, with sometimes you got to step out on people. Jackson State played lane. What did Jackson State do? Handle business, look good, allowed a lot of their players to play. That's what you're supposed to do when you play in NAIA school.
Right.
So then what do you have? Alabama A&M, who, as Coach Maynard said, they pay him to win SWAC games. Well, I tell you what, he hasn't done too much of that lately. And I'll tell you this, if I'm looking at this game right here and I'm playing Georgetown College and we only score 24 points and allow them 16 and their quarterback throws for almost 300 yards, I'd be concerned coming up, playing FAMU and Jackson State and others.
Without a doubt. I mean, Alabama A&M, they did have some turnovers now. They had 3 turnovers, 1 interception and two fumbles. But like you said, I believe in that too. You got to see where your team is and if we scramble. And that game was 24-16, not 44-16. What? Yeah. One of the things on the ticker, a guy asked me a question. I wanted to try to answer it. If you could pull it, if you see it.
Okay, here we go. I got it. I think I found it, Coach. It says, Coach Cole.
Go ahead.
It says, how would you feel if you were able to move the ball but not get in the end zone or like just miss a field goal? Would you feel better about that type of outing if you're all corn?
Hell no, I would feel very, very bad. I would, I believe in scoring down there. You got those opportunities are few far in between. And that's why in practice, you got, and I always say, and I'll continue to say, I hate the spread offense is an offense. I think it's a part of your offense. You should have it in the toolbox. You got to have a red zone offense. You got to have a short yardage offense. You got to be prepared for all those opportunities. And sometimes I would go to a game, and I remember playing Jackson State in Mobile at Alabama State. And, one of the things I do when I open up a game, I'm going to show you everything I got. However many of the formations I'm going to come in, because I want to see how you're going to line up and play. And it so happened we lined up in no back. And man, guys was running wide open. I just took that playbook, man, put it in my back seat, and we went up and down the field with no back until they made the adjustments. So what am I saying? When I get down there, if you stop me the first time, you're not gonna stop me the second time, because I'm gonna be able to see how you gonna play certain formations and be able to get the ball to the right people. So no, what am I, the analogy? Man, that's like I don't want we on our own show, right?
Yeah.
Man, that's like having a beautiful woman dressed nice and everything, and you get in the bed, man, and it ain't good. So you tell me, and then you had your other baby girl that was about a 7, but so you tell me how you feel about that. Man, you got to get down there and you got to put that ball in the end zone, because as an offense, you don't get that many opportunities. You don't.
You got to put the ball in the end zone. That's the moral of that story. We got a couple people who became members. I think that's and I want to get those people who put a super chat in. If you put a super chat in, we'll address your comment immediately. No waiting. All right. It says, will Connell Maynard make it to the I think that's Magic City Classic. His next 3 games are Austin Peay, Florida A&M, and Jackson State. Again,
let me answer this first. Coach, you could talk from the coach's side, because listen, I saw this. I was on another show, and we were looking at the schedules. I literally looked up the number for U-Haul in Huntsville, and I found a special for Connell Maynard, because after that Jackson State game, that U-Haul truck will be in front of his doorstep. Because I'm telling you, all 3 of those games are going to be losses. And I tried to tell the Alabama A&M people this. So, yes, will he make it to the Magic City Classic? No. The U-Haul will be driving past and taking them going back to North Carolina. So, Coach, you can talk from a coach standpoint, from a fan standpoint, absolutely not.
Well, they came in the season on shaky grounds. They've had a lot of movement in the program. And when you start moving people in and out your program there, you got to show some results. Because if not, they're going to point the finger at you as the head coach. So he's done that. At one time, they had the best quarterback in the league, and still didn't win it then. So, I got to make some calls. I know some people personal up there that's connected to what's going on. I heard it was some trouble in the house last spring, but he was able to make it through that. He will make it to the Magic City Classic. And that game will determine a lot. Meaning, if he loses the game, he's gone. If he wins the game, he's got to show some improvement. He got an opportunity to stay. I hate to see any coach go through that. But Coach Manning will bounce back on his feet. I hear some other things boiling for him, because he's an East Coast guy. He's a North Carolina guy. So I wish him well.
Hey, now we got another question, Coach. I want to thank my man Swag Fan 100 for making the donation. We certainly appreciate it, man. All these donations go to a very good cause in an effort to bring y'all the best content possible, man. We got lots of major things coming up. We're gonna do something over at the State Fair Classic as well. So we got some great stuff coming. So hey, all these donations are gonna allow us to do that, man, and put together some great content. This question: will any one of you, y'all gonna have to help with because I got
guys. It's this question: how would you, any one of you, handle the situation in Alabama State if you were the coach? All right, Coach Bishop, you go. You speaking from the
Well,
stands, and I'm gonna speak
well,
from the
well,
sideline.
Here's the thing. From the stands, here's the thing I always say: you can only do what your players allow you to do. So the question is, so now I'm going to my fourth quarterback. Is my fourth quarterback a guy that's a walk on? Is my fourth guy? And like I said, and again, I apologize because I don't even know who this is what's so bad. We usually come up, I don't even know who the fourth guy is for Alabama State. So here's the thing. But here's one thing that does make Alabama State dangerous. They held Sanford only 12 points, coach. They only held them to 12 points. So once again, Eddie Robinson's defense is there. So what do? You play ball control, you play field position, and you play opportunistic football. So my thing is, once again, it started becoming cliches. Let's run the ball. Let's stay ahead of the chains. Let's not turn the ball over. Let's capitalize when we can score, and let's hold them to 3 and outs. That's how you win games with a type of team like that. So again, that's what I'm doing. And again, coach, you know what I'm also going to do? And coach, you can talk about this. I'm challenging my offensive line. You need to win us these games because we're getting ready to hand the running back this football. And I need you to man up front. And we have seen, again, look at Hampton. The offensive line won that football game. Look at Jackson State. The offensive line won them the football game. So you can go to those units and go and say, hey, listen, I need you to win this football game because, hey, we can't, our playbook is not as bad as when we had Andrew Body and O'Brien. So now we're going to have to narrow it down. We're going to have to run the ball and play good defense.
And you sound just like you watched the Madden game, and you're a stand guy. You're right in something that, and it sounds good and it sounds right that, oh man, I got this great defense. They also are great on special teams as well, coach. And with this offense, we're just going to pound, go 1, 2, 3. My thought and my deal is now I do have a great defense. I do have great special teams. So now I need to be on the offense more creative with more formations. I need to take shots downfield. I need to be able to use my explosive plays where they're getting us points, meaning field position, transition, turnovers, big run off a kickoff. Now I got to come with what I call Chinese plays, some toss back, double pass, triple reverse, throw back to the quarterback, some draws, some screens. I gotta be wide open, but Coach Bishop, like you say, look like I'm just gonna run the ball, but I'm not. I'm gonna put this kid on bootlegs. I'm gonna put this kid on quarterback runs. We're gonna run some reverses. We're gonna let him throw something down the field. Because guess what? I'm gonna score some points. We gonna score something. We gonna score more than 7. You can't win with 7, not in one double A football. You gotta score between 21 and 24 points in double A football. That's just how it's always been.
Coach, we got another question for you. Is how can Morgan State University offense be improved? It's been three years without any noticeable progress.
Let me give you 334-318-1141. Call Coach Cole. No, see, that's the thing, guys. The MEAC football and East Coast football is a lot different from the SWAC. And that's why the SWAC has been more noticeable than in the SIC been more noticeable than the CIAA in the MEAC. They're more defense, run game oriented, pound, keep the game close. The SWAC has always been more wide open, and sometimes, you got to be able to open up the game. When you got great defense guys, I averaged 3 turnovers a game in the SWAC when I won the championship. And I knew that we couldn't throw the quarter. I mean, we would throw interceptions, we would fumble, but I knew we had a great defense. But I knew this: if we didn't push the ball down the field, they would load up on me. They would load the box and say, "Well, he got to run." Well, guess what, guys? We finished number 12 in rushing. So you're right, Coach Campbell. You got to run the ball, but you can't sit there and try to run straight through them. And I think some of that it's hurt Norfolk. You know what I mean? You got to get in some pass formations and actually run the football. You know what I mean? So you can't be stale. You know, you got to keep that thing open and always take some shots downfield. Always, because when teams field the box, what are they playing on the back end, guys?
Man to man.
Man to
To
man.
man to man. There you
Now,
go.
now, coach. Now, coach. You screamed when we did and I'm going to talk us back to the Celebration Bowl. You said in that game, in the midst of Larry Scott trying to navigate a victory against FAMU while they were up, you kept saying he's got to back these guys up. He's got to back these guys up. You have to do something to back these guys up because FAMU eventually is going to move the ball on. So,
and they loaded the box. What was happening was the safety started. Safeties usually line up at 15, 14, 15. When they start getting up at 10, they in the run game, Coach Bishop. You turn your back, go hand that ball off, they up at the line of scrimmage. So guess what you got to do? You got to fake that thing in there and throw it on top. You know what I mean? And if you don't, man, you'll get stale. The fans, you lose momentum. You get predictable. And that's the worst offense ever is a predictable offense.
All right, Coach. I just wanted to point out these two games. I think Wagner and Delaware State went the way that we went. But then this is a game that I didn't see, but I was actually surprised by the score. Howard and Morehouse had somewhat of a tussle when you look at 35-21, considering Morehouse has been down and Howard went to the Black College National Championship game last year. What do you guys think about, how that game played out?
Go ahead, Coach.
Here's the thing. I think when you have a game like this, and again, this was on CNBC. I watched a little bit of this game. I think Morehouse. This is again. If people know Morehouse people and people know Howard people, and I'm saying this with a lot of respect, those players are really student athletes. They are really student athletes. So I think for them, it's not so much about the football. It's more about the opportunity. I think Morehouse was excited about playing in this game. It was on TV. I think they had more of a motivation. I think Howard definitely believed that they were the better team. And I think they played a little bit like it from what I saw. So when I see games like this, when you look at a Morehouse who has a proud name tradition, as a proud HBCU, I think those players had a lot of pride. I think they wanted to make sure they weren't going to be embarrassed on national TV. And I think they just really played really hard.
Yeah, I think this was the Rocky. I think this was the, how you get, do you got any little brothers? Or you pat him on the head, and he's swinging, and every now and then he get, why I know that? I had 8 brothers, so that used to be, I used to be the little guy swinging. They used to hold my head. It was 35-7 going into the fourth quarter.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't no game out of it. You're talking about 23 first downs, 11, 406 yards to 173. Having the ball 33 minutes, it really, and after seeing Morehouse, man, they struggling. Morehouse is really struggling. They've had three coaches in the last 10 years since they let Coach, not 10 years, the last 5 years since they let Coach Freeman go, and the program has went straight down. Didn't get a coach till late. So, and like I think Mr. Bishop said, Howard took it easy. They took it easy and probably got everybody to play after they were up. They were going into the fourth quarter up 28-7. So really, it wasn't no game.
All right, and then we got the last 2 games that I like to look at from last week: Bethune-Cookman and A&T hosting Delaware. What did you guys get out of that? I didn't see anything notable in those victories. I think they went the way we thought they would.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't see either one of these two games. I think the A&T game was on Flow Sports. I just saw the stats. Same thing with Bethune, and I found out with Bethune because one of the things I wanted to find out how they scored. I heard they had 2 run backs. So again, that didn't make me feel good. I thought maybe the offense was doing a little bit of something against Western Michigan. I mean, they played out by who they played. You know, I think once again for both of these teams, like I say, Bethune, and that's one of our matchups that we're going to talk about. They played Clark Atlanta. That's a scary game for them. And then A&T, which we'll talk about, they play Central. So again, those are the games I know they're going to be worried about. This went as usual. What I thought was going to happen.
Yeah. Now did Bethune play? Bethune play? Who got?
Western Michigan.
Oh yeah. It went exactly like it was supposed to. Western Michigan probably went down and got people out the stands to run a couple routes. That's what happened in these games. But Bethune come and got a big one this week. They got Clark Atlanta down in Daytona Beach, Florida. So, and that one's going to be on ESPN Plus. So that's a good game to look at.
Hey, Coach, this was the featured game of the week. This is the one everybody anticipated. And I'll start out by saying this went just like I thought it would. I jumped on Scotty's live very early on, and I said, hey, this should be a mollywop. I didn't see, and leading into the game, I didn't see Southern's offense being able to move the ball on Jackson State. And again, we all thought Southern would have a pretty tough sledding this season. And in their first, this is a conference matchup, but not a conference game. So I just want to point that out. This is a rivalry game between 2 conference foes, but not a conference game. So I want to point that out. So, Coach Cole, I'll let you address this one first. When you go against your rival and get dominated like this, what does it say about your program as a first-year coach in Coach Terrence Graves?
Well, it wasn't necessarily so much of a domination. I want to cheer for T.C. Taylor. He pulled out the hat a couple great plays. I guess the things that he's seen. One time he ran a tight end delay and the guy kind of walked in the end zone. It was evenly matched, basically. But if you got to pull out the 4 turnovers, Southern University evidently has got a lack of discipline. Because they had 4 turnovers. They had 2 interceptions and turned the ball and had two fumbles. They fumbled the ball, but they didn't lose it. But they had 2 turnovers that was really, really, really costly in this game. When you look at the first down, they were pretty much evenly matched. When you look at the total yards, Southern actually had more total yards than they did, 416 to their 399. But the issue came down to me with a lot of things that what you were doing in the red zone. And I keep telling folks, and I'll repeat myself, the spread is just a package. It's not your whole game. When you get down in that red zone, the field is short. All right. So that means everything is quick and fast. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be able to run the ball successfully, be able to be great in play action, and be able to, most of all, execute. And those are things that Southern was not doing. It was not executing. They were good at first downs, 5 for 12. That's right about 38%, right, Rob? You know what I mean? Jackson State was where they supposed to been at. You know what I mean? Jackson State made the plays in this game. I'm not ready to throw Southern out with the baby in the bathwater, but they got to be able to get it together. They've only averaging about 23 points a game. But if you pull the Savannah State game out, I mean, they down at 2 or 3 touchdowns a game. 2 touchdowns a game. And again, you cannot win one AA football scoring, not being able to score the football. So they definitely got to get better. Jackson State had their wheel. They ran the ball successfully and passed it. So Southern has to get better and especially better on the offensive side of the ball.
Go ahead, Bishop.
Well, I'm going to disagree with Coach a little bit. And I'm going to say this. This is where clearly the stats lie. To me, Jackson State dominated this game from the very beginning all the way to the end. I think what we saw here is a good Jackson State team that is growing, that showed a lot of confidence. What I want to say is, again, I want to talk about Jackson State, which was interesting. Cameron McCoy started this game. And this is what I want to tell people when we all get on these channels, and I talk to Coach about this. Coach T.C. Taylor sees these players every day. So there was something that he saw that said he felt that McCoy needed to start. But once again, Jackson State clearly has two quarterbacks because McCoy got hurt. Jacoby Morgan came in, went 12 for 21 for 153 yards, and ran for a TD. Herb Mulligan makes his return, goes 13 carries, 51 yards, runs for a TD. They run for over 200 yards rushing. Southern, on the other hand, Noah Biden, T-Set, their freshman that they were looking forward to, came in, got hurt, only threw 10 passes. Noah Biden came in, threw for 352 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. But this is a game to me that was a lie. And I'm going to tell you what, you want to know what Southern is? You can look at their fan base. And I told everybody that this was not a good team at the very beginning, and I still stand on that. This is not a good team. I don't believe that they have the talent. I believe they're still trying to figure out what they want to do as an identity on the offense, because this is the first Southern team in a very long time that you have seen that did not run for at least 50 yards. I can't remember the time like that. Southern was known for big offensive linemen and running the ball. That goes all the way back to the 70s. So for them to be totally dominated by a defensive line, that I got to give Jackson State credit. And this kid, Noble, he made a name for himself this week. And I'm going to start tracking this kid to see what he's all about. But I'm just telling you, from what I just saw, to me, I just saw a total domination. And I just got to say something to somebody from Jackson. People from Jackson, and I guess that are not Gen X and millennials, we do not call Southern Jackson State the Boombox Classic. I don't know what that is. That ain't what that is. For us old heads, it's Southern versus Jackson State. It ain't no Boombox Classic. I think that's something a millennial made up, because when I hear that, it makes me cringe, because it talks about more about the band than the proud football traditions. Because you got to understand something. These are the two schools along with Grambling that have the most football championships. So this game has always been about the football. I know we like the jukebox, and I know we like the boom and the dancing dolls, but this really is a rivalry that has been built on the field, and all the auxiliary comes along with it. So I just want to say one thing about that as a Jacksonian, because every time I see that, it just tickles me when I see that. But one of the things, again, what I really like is that Jackson State was able to play players. They got their running game going. And I'm telling you something, and we're going to talk about this. This matchup against Grambling is that old school SWAC football game that we all want to see. But I'm just telling you, I was really impressed, and that's why I had Jackson State and FAMU 1 and 1A, and nothing changes that.
Well, I want to piggyback, and I don't have no rich history tradition of paying attention to HBCU football. But when you got a game named after the band, that tells you what y'all think about football.
Nah, well, see, that's what I'm saying. That the game is not named. That's why I just cleared that up. The game is not named after the band. That's what I'm saying. The band people did that. That's what I'm trying to tell you. The people, that is something that, again, that game is not. Yeah, that's not official. That is not what that game is called.
That's social media, Coach.
Yeah. So I want to be clear on that.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Because to me, as a true football fan, as a true HBCU football fan, that's an abomination. That is ridiculous. You don't even. Matter of fact, when you talk about a game of this magnitude and then name it after the bands, this is the schools of I think Mel Blunt and
Aeneas Williams,
Walter Payton. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You shouldn't even be interjecting the band into this story rivalry. They got their fifth quarter. They got the battle of the bands. This game should be about the football. Period.
Well, I tell you what, let me say this. For Jackson State, it definitely on the field was about football. And clearly this team is ready to make a run for the SWAC championship.
All right. I just wanted to say that. Hey, now I want to disagree with Coach as well, Coach. Coach, if you watch this game, there was nothing that Southern was able to do in the first half of this game. Nothing. They were not able to do nothing. Now, T.C. Taylor in the second half, I think he went to a more conservative game plan. And to be perfectly honest with you, Jacoby Morgan missed probably 21 points. 21 points this game. He just didn't connect on some passes that were clearly there. But I didn't. Now Southern did get some empty calories, I would say, at the end of the game. They were able to pass the ball and make some, and the receivers made some outstanding catches, so on and so forth. But I didn't see anything in this game that let you know that Southern was competitive that night, and I didn't see anything moving forward that lets you know they're going to be competitive in their future matchups, Coach. I ask you this, Coach, while you're over there evaluating the stats. How many yards did Southern run for?
29.
29. That's what I said, less than 50 yards.
Yeah.
That is unheard of from a Southern football team.
Right.
29, Coach? 29?
They threw the ball well. I would agree with you guys.
Did they throw the ball well, or that's all they had a chance to do?
I'm just not ready to throw Southern and Coach Graves to the wall yet. I think you got to give him a chance. He's only head coach at the one game, the gift game of the Bayou Classic. Now he's in a whole total different situation where he's got to coach a season instead of a week.
Now, Coach, the interesting thing about this game, and I was, listening to the Southern sphere, I guess I could, if that's a word, the people out there who talk about Southern football and whatever, they're not even putting this game on the coach. They really putting this game on the overall culture around Southern athletics. They even are saying, Coach, can you believe this here? What they're saying, Bishop Campbell, maybe you can speak to this because I've never heard of this before. This was something new to me. This is not on Coach Graves and his staff. This is on the culture of Southern athletics. What does that mean? Because I'm not sure what that means.
Well, I'll try to take a stab at that. People have been complaining about Southern's AD for a while and talking about, is he providing what Southern needs to be a championship team, from the coaching hires to the support that the football team needs. Again, you got to understand something. When he hired Coach Graves, he said we had to hire Coach Graves because we couldn't afford anybody else. That's what he said in public. That's what AD said. I thought that was hurtful to Coach Graves to say that, this is who we could afford, so that's why we hired him. So I think that's what they're talking about. Having a proud tradition that Southern has, and the bravado that Southern used to always come with. You don't see that bravado. And again, it's seeping to the fans. Again, so I have seen Southern come to Jackson, and I'm talking about in the 80s, and Coach, them Southern teams in the 80s were not good at all. I think they had a couple of good years, but overall, the 90s was when Southern was really rolling. But I saw them in the 80s, and they still came in there strong. The fans even know this is a team that they don't support right now. And I think they're showing that by not even getting, I know there was weather considerations and things like that, but we're going to see about the Southern fans when they play Prairie View. We're going to see if they show up down there. And if they don't show up down there, you're going to really see the fans are going to be speaking with their pocketbook about how they're not satisfied in the direction where this program is going.
If you look at that ring right there that I'm pointing to, that's the national championship ring at Southern University under Pete Richardson in 1993. They do have something to say about the culture around there. I guess everything starts from the top. Rocky, we talked about it when all of it went down, how it went down, why it went down, and the reasons why it shouldn't have went the way that it did. And it's showing, not trying to put down Coach Terrence Graves, but you pay for what you get, and that's starting from Odom. You know what I mean? Maybe they should have kept Odom. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they should have kept Dooley. You know what I mean? But I hate to say it, this last move they made, is just taking the program, and it looks like it's taking the program backwards. And I hate to be the one to say that. But Coach, when you put 11 on the field, the ball got to be kicked off, and somebody's got to score, and somebody's got to make some tackles. And at the end of the day, somebody's got to win. And it's too bad it ain't. We know it's from the top down, but when you watching the display, it looks like it's from the bottom up. So unfortunately, for those Jaguars that they going through this transition, hopefully that the team, because I know some of the coaches on the staff is working their butt off. It just ain't happening on the scoreboard. That they get this thing turned around.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that out. I found that very interesting because I remember last year they clearly put the losses on the back of Coach Dooley. They weren't even sheepish about the reason why they were undisciplined, the reason why they were, um, not performing on the field, and it was quite frankly shocking to tune in and not hear the same Coach Graves held to the same accountability that Coach Dooley was. So that's what kind of was shocking to me is that they were. I'm not sure this is what they would call as scapegoating for a coach, but they surely didn't have the same standard or expectation for Coach Graves than they had for Coach Dooley.
But the positive thing about this job is T.C. Taylor took over his offense, and I take my hat off to him, Coach. He's moving the ball, very exciting. He has explosive plays. He's showing you all kind of different looks. He's keeping these teams off balance. So he's doing a great job.
Oh yeah, Coach. Hey, Coach, I just want to take time out to thank everybody who's joined in. We up to about 200 people on all social media platforms. I want to thank y'all for tuning in. We're gonna move into our preview of this week's upcoming games. And we got and boy, this week is an improvement over last week for sure, right? We got several marquee matchups this week. Coach, before we go into that, sum up what you thought of last week. What did you find out about
anytime the
college football last week?
First 2 or 3 weeks, especially in the MEAC, being that they only got 6 teams, it's just sparring. It's like sparring. You getting ready for the big fight, which is actually the conference games, and that's what everybody is doing, is kind of sparring. And as you see, when you start looking at Tennessee State about to open up with Tennessee Tech, the Big South is going to get into the meat of their schedule, and this will really, really show you how good you are. MEAC, they got one more week. They usually play 4 non-conference games, see where they are, and then get ready to come into the game. The SWAC, we're slowly getting there, but after this week, we're gonna get into the meat of the schedule. So a lot of things you're finding out a lot about what type of team you have, what's going on in your program. And one thing I see, is a lot of injuries. And a lot of injuries mean that you're going to have to reevaluate what you're doing in that weight room. And because the weight room was supposed to keep you injury free. So it's starting to warm up. It's starting to get serious about making a run towards the championship.
Coach, I agree. I think and this is one of the things, you don't see a lot of early matchups because of the way our schedules line up. We have to play the money games on both sides, the Power 5, Power 4 games. And then, of course, we'll play an NAIA school that's in our region. Then it gets like that. So you really can't really determine what the team is. But this week that you're going to start seeing, now you're going to start seeing teams that are going to play conference games. Like you're going to see Southern and Prairie View. That's a big game. You're going to see statement games. Jackson State Grambling for Grambling. Proud tradition. Jackson State coming to the hole. Can they make a statement and say, and play with Jackson State? Not even win, but say, you know what? We're building something and play with Jackson State. We go on the other side at the MEAC. We've got North Carolina A&T and North Carolina Central. 2 programs going opposite directions. And one of the things that I found interesting, and again, the people from Central, very proud group of people. But they remind me also of how FAMU and Bethune-Cookman was. Bethune-Cookman had a run on FAMU. But overall, we have more victories. Same thing with North Carolina A&T. But now Central has the better coach. They have the better players. And now you see that bravado. And then, of course, who is the real HU? But again, we know what that's all about. Again, the pride and pageantry, again, academic institutions, but also they care about winning that football game. So I think this week we've got a lot of those games that we're going to be able to see and test what our teams look like.
All right, Coach. I got us. Hopefully, I got all these. Don't have any or many errors in this game. on this right here. Norfolk plays Virginia Military Institute. I don't have much faith in Norfolk right now, so I'm gonna take VMI. What about you guys?
Ain't no question. And VMI is a good team. It stands for Virginia Military Institute, and they do a great job in recruiting. They're gonna make it real tough on Norfolk State.
Yeah, well, when I first looked at this game, now VMI is 0-3. When I first looked at this game and was trying to project out Norfolk State, I had this as a victory. After watching them play Hampton, I'm going to have to dial that down. So I don't see Norfolk pulling this out. Like the VMI is still 0-3. Again, the question goes back to, and what is this game? This will be game 4, right, for Norfolk State? Because their starting quarterback, potential all-conference quarterback, had to sit out 4 games. So again, this is the thing. Is Norfolk going to allow Jaden Dance to throw the ball, as you were talking about, Coach?
Well, VMI has played William and Mary.
Yep, great school.
South, Bucknell, and Georgia Tech.
That'll make you 0-3.
yeah, without a doubt.
So who you got? You taking Norfolk, Coach?
I'm gonna take VMI.
Okay. All right. This is a good one. Tennessee State and Tennessee Tech. I'm gonna take Tennessee Tech. What do you guys think?
Tennessee Tech. They beat them in the last several years. I don't see it being a difference this year. Tennessee State is definitely gonna have to make some changes over there. I hate to say it. They've wasted enough money, and they got to be able to get things going in the right direction. If not, they're gonna keep on losing and going downhill. Tennessee Tech has lost. They opened up the season with Georgia, and they opened up the season with Middle Tennessee State. 32-25 from Middle Tennessee State, and of course Georgia rolled on them. So them coming to play Tennessee State after playing 2 1A schools, the game gets slow. I think Tennessee Tech is a winner.
Yeah, this is one of those things. And again, this is where I'm going to talk from an HBCU fan. We were hoping that Eddie George was going to have the prime effect over there at Tennessee State. Big name, well known in Nashville, able to raise money, which he has done. But I just have not, which I'm really shocked, not get the talent in the transfer portal I thought that he was going to get. I really thought that Tennessee State was going to be a playground for a lot of kids coming from the Big Ten and from the SEC because of Eddie George and his connections. And I just have not seen it. And again, I just think that Eddie George, this is one of those teams, again, I'm hoping that he gets the 7 wins. But yeah, I think Tennessee Tech, like Coach said, they played Middle Tennessee State, they played Georgia. They played a stronger schedule, and they've beaten Tennessee State before.
Hey, let me ask you this here, Coach. If Eddie George doesn't win the Big South OVC or isn't competitive in the Big South OVC, is his hiring a failed experiment in the HBCU space?
Well, with my contacts up there, and I talked earlier about we're going to have our 25th celebration at Tennessee State at the end of the year. Yes, it's been a failure in one sense of you're not getting the people to come to the game, you're not winning football games, but on the other sense of helping the facility out, it did help the facility out when he first got in there. They did some things for the program I thought that needed to be done. It's still a project in motion, but I don't think he were able to even get close to the Dion effect there. They're still not selling games out. They're still not getting them to get crowds. And at the end of the day, they're still not winning. So he has had a winning season. I think he has one winning season since he's been there.
And I'm gonna direct this question to the Bishop. I know that Tennessee State is a HBCU, but even with Eddie George being the head coach, even with the history that I know it has. Why is it to me that it doesn't have that same connective tissue to HBCUs or that same identity as a Southern, Jackson State, Grambling? Can
Well,
you explain that to me?
this a coach can talk. Coach really can talk about this.
Yeah.
Tennessee State used to be a proud independent. They played all comers in HBCU land. They played everybody in the MEAC, SIAC, in the SWAC. It didn't make it there. And we're talking about, again, one of the winningest programs in HBCU history. Going back starting with Big John Merritt and all the way through to coaching them winning conference and national championships. So I think that schizophrenia of being halfway in, halfway out has really hurt the pride and tradition of Tennessee State. Because when you talked about Tennessee State, and I'm talking about Tennessee State in the 80s, gave Jackson State utter hell. When you looked at a loss on Jackson State in the 80s, they beat everybody in the SWAC. You know who they would lose to? To Tennessee State. Consistently. And Tennessee State will be a 9-win team, a 10-win team. Players that will go into the NFL. But I think that schizophrenia that has just where we don't know where we want to be at. And I think them not being in the SWAC conference. And again, I said the SWAC, not the MEAC. They should have been in the SWAC. They are a SWAC school. And I think that has just hurt them. Them not playing Florida A&M consistently. Them not playing Southern consistently. Them not, again, they were playing the Southern Heritage State. Now they're not playing Jackson State. And what did Eddie George say? We need to get Jackson State on the schedule. That's where their DNA is at. That's where, honestly, the people that spend money, that's what they grew up on. So you're just not going to get the same type of, motivation from the fans. And again, I just think, for you say, well, we're playing these games. I don't know if the players are even excited about that. So again, I think, we talk about competition. And I agree about competition, but you still got to know who you are. And Tennessee State is a proud HBCU and with a proud football tradition.
All this started, Rocky, back in the late 80s when they named Gil Sayers the athletic director, who eventually got him in the Ohio Valley Conference. Also, the Board of Trustees in the state of Tennessee put a mandate that Tennessee State have so many Caucasians enrolled at Tennessee State. So they were kind of trying to change the fabric of Tennessee State, which really didn't work. So when Gil Sayers put them in OVC, then now they're playing, they had to eliminate some of the black college games, but they kept the big ones. I mean, when I was there, like you said, we played Florida A&M every year. We don't play North Carolina A&T. We played Southern. We played Jackson State every year in the Southern Heritage Classic. Then we would play the conference. And when we got there, our first 2 years, we finished 4-6. All right. But we realized that the problem wasn't just the athletes. We had some athletes. The problem was we had to get our strength and conditioning program at the right level. And once we done that, we were able to win back-to-back championships, which was the last HBCU school to win all PWI conference. And
the first one, right, Coach? Right. That was the first one and the last one.
Well, the first and only coaching staff to win the OVC in the history of that school in football, because they never was in a conference. They was always independent, like Coach Bishop said. And they put great players. Some people still say that's the best HBCU job because it's one that if you do win the Big South conference, you will and maybe have an opportunity to bounce into a big PWI job, like all the other schools in that conference. That's where John Gruden come from. You know what I mean? It's a lot of great coaches have came from that conference and jumped, but most of them hadn't been the color that I look like. My brother ended up winning the championship back-to-back, but he had so much inner hate there that he wasn't able to bounce to a bigger job. And plus, we actually went and sit down with the commissioner of the SEC. I can't call his name now; it's on the tip of my tongue. And we had a meeting with him about hey man, you think that we can? He said, let me tell you something. You're not gonna jump from an HBCU job to one of those jobs. It's best to go get one of those jobs at Tennessee Tech or some one double school and win there, and then you'll be able to jump. Well, since that conversation back in 1998, 99 guys, there's only been one guy, two guys to do it. One is a white guy who went to Southern Miss. He was at Alcorn State, and the other one is Deion Sanders. So when of course, and I don't want to get off of what we're trying to do, is when Coach Simmons left Florida A&M, and his goal is to be a head coach at a Power Five, it's going to be tough. Unfortunately, it's going to be tough, even in this day and time when things are changing. You know what I mean? When things are changing. But I don't know. And that's the history of Tennessee State. They should be able to run that. We ran that conference when we were there. I mean, we averaged 45 points a game when we were there. I led the conference 4 straight years in passing. So Tennessee State ain't near where it should be.
Well, like I say, I appreciate you guys giving me the history of that. I like I say, I know it is a bit HBCU. I know that, but for whatever reason, it doesn't give me that same feel of an HBCU, and so that's just I wanted to see if you guys had any way to explain that. You guys have done a great job explaining that.
Well, I wish they still played Jackson State, and so we could go to the game. I know the owner of the game. I wish they get that Jackson State Tennessee State game back going, the Southern Heritage Classic. It was one of the best.
And you know what though? But I saw Eddie George, and like I say, not to belabor the point because we got a lot of games to cover. But Eddie George said he wants to play Jackson State. That game should be a home and home game. That game should be home and home. Let those people come up to Nashville. Build that state, because see, that's another thing. Build the fan base back up at home. Get good games so your fan base can come at home. So that's my thing. That game should be at home and home. I mean, I know the Southern Heritage Class, people like to party, have a good time. But to me, to build that program back up, I think that Jackson State and Tennessee State needs to be at home and home.
Another thing, I know about Bragg. I know about the Vet. I know about the Hole. I know about Prairie View. I don't even know the name of Tennessee State Stadium. It's not part of the lexicon of HBCU sports.
Well, the stadium on campus is called the Hole. It's called the Hole, the stadium on campus.
Okay.
But they usually play that Southern Heritage game in Memphis.
They play their home games at the Titan Stadium.
Yeah,
that was part of it. Yeah, that was part of that deal.
Okay. See, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
See, I have designed. I did design the locker room for Tennessee State at that while we were there. Never did get to play in there, coaching there, brother. But I designed it, the locker room.
So let me ask you guys this: Will Morgan State have any problem with Lynchburg?
No.
Unless they fly us three up there, and I quarterback, and you can run the ball, Rocky, and you run a couple down out up. Hell, Lynchburg. That's what you sound that way. That's what be happening. They be getting lynched every Saturday.
Hey, let me ask you this: Will Nichols have any problem with Mississippi Valley?
Mississippi Valley. When you guys go out and hire a good coach, it's a good coach out there. Take 90 or 100, 110,000 to be the head coach. Take a shot on a coach, a real coach. But go ahead, coach. No, let's stay to beat that.
Oh, so this is if it were not for the schedule that is what it is this week, this may be one of our featured games right here. But we'll just take a look at it in a snapshot right here, which is Clark Atlanta traveling to Bethune-Cookman. This is a D2, D1 matchup, guys, but this isn't your typical D2, D1 matchup this time around, is
it? Without a doubt. First of all, let's just talk about Clark Atlanta's schedule, okay? They open up with Fort Valley State, which is one of the Bluebird programs in our SIC. All right. Then you go play Allen. You play the school that you just came from, which they came in there with a chip on their shoulder. All right. Tough schedule. Then you go down and play Florida Memorial, who probably got XFL players on their team, NAIA. What would you go down there for, Coach Bishop? Why would you take your poor program down to another poor school? You know where they played at? They played at the park. The stands weren't even hard, like the Little League Park. All right, you go down there, you make no money. Clark took the team, the band, the cheerleaders, everybody. Now, Bishop, you the money man on our station. What? Then now you turn back around and go back to Florida to play Bethune-Cookman. For what? What did that
they'll get a check there, Coach, and they get to go to the beach.
Coach, you know I'm on the inside down there, right?
Yeah.
The check wasn't big enough, Coach. It wasn't big. It wasn't even $100,000. I'm just gonna say that. It wasn't even $100,000. And you know Bethune-Cookman was struggling anyway. You know? So why would you go play them again? All the schools y'all jump over and pass at Clark. So they had a tough schedule, man. Now they got to get on a bus. They rode the bus to Florida Memorial, which is in Miami. Took 16 hours. Now they got to go back to Daytona Beach, Florida. It's going to take about 8, right? So you know, they really lost money.
I would say the better part of 10, to be honest with
you. 10 hours to Daytona Beach, Florida.
From Atlanta?
Yeah. So now they got to go right back down there. Doesn't make sense, man. This is a minute.
I know 4 hours will get you to Tallahassee. I know it's
well, it's on a bus. So, I mean, anything on a bus, you're going to add, time. So, yeah, it's a long trip. It's not something that's comfortable. But I want to talk about the football part of this because this is the thing that I think that, Coach, you've seen them play. But how many times have you seen come into a game where the NAIA school has the better quarterback?
The Division II school.
Division II school has the better quarterback. So that's the thing about it. David Wright, who has just set it on fire. And just going to come down there. So what do you think? Again, Bethune-Cookman, and this is the reason why I like Bethune-Cookman in this matchup because their defensive line, I think they've got nice size on defensive line. I don't think Clark Atlanta's offensive line can stand up there. But this kid, Wright, can make plays in there, Coach. He can make this game interesting. And this is one of those ones, again, if you're not fundamentally sound, great coverage, somebody's going to the house. So this is one of those games that Bethune-Cookman better not overlook.
Right. Well, Clark Atlanta already started off the season ranked 4th in the nation. You know what I'm saying? I get it. You're right. David Wright could cause some real problems with Bethune-Cookman, but also David Wright could get hit by one of those Bethune-Cookman players, and we'd be just like me and Rocky with Alabama State. We just, you know what I'm saying? We trying to hold it together to hope O'Brien come back. But I just didn't see it being a positive game whatsoever. You know, we don't recruit the same players per se. You know, we're in different conferences. You're not giving me a big paycheck. I just thought it was a tough game.
Coach, this is surprising that you would look at the game in that way. You don't look at this as just good competition for the Clark Atlanta program. And if they could somehow pull off the victory, they become the talk of the HBCU space?
Yeah, for a week. But I need my players for the rest of the season. I'm about to get into the SIAC. I'm playing a Division I AA team that ain't giving me no money. So I supposed to go there and lose, right? So I get my loss. But then you ain't giving me no money, that's a double loss. You know,
wow.
That's
interesting, Joe.
I don't look at this game as a good game whatsoever. Even if we win, Coach, we're beating the worst team in the SWAC as of today. Today, Bethune-Cookman have finished last in the SWAC. Am I right, Coach Bishop?
Well, you still got Valley and UAPB. They've always been. Bethune's been better than Valley and UAPB.
Coach, check them stats down.
Yeah, well, they definitely They have been ahead. They have finished ahead of Valley. Valley has since we've been in the SWAC. Valley has been last.
I was going to say, okay, 1-10, 2-9. All right.
Well, I think you're correct, but I mean, my point is, I think this game can mean something in the HBCU space, especially as it relates to what Clark Atlanta can be moving forward, especially with them going to have the potential of playing in the playoffs, winning the conference championship, and playing in the playoffs. I think this game could give you some hope that they could really make a run.
I would agree with you, Rocky. When you look at it that standpoint, it is one of the best Division II programs right now. If they can pull this out, just like when Lane beat Tennessee State, I agree with you about that scenario.
Okay. Now let me ask you this here, Coach. This is they got nothing to do with nothing, but would you say so if Clark Atlanta played South Carolina State, would that be a better game?
To me, not really. Unless South Carolina State was going to give me a nice paycheck.
Okay. All right. So what kind of where would you go with that team for it to be worth the check? You know what I mean? Worth the competition and the check.
Well, you know, when you start looking at South Carolina State team, of course they got players over there. It wouldn't be as bad because they really ain't in your backyard. They South Carolina State. Everybody knows them. But if I'm gonna play a 1AA team, I'm gonna make sure financially I get some out of it.
Okay.
Because chances of me winning are slim, you know, at the end of the day. And if I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna make sure that the money I get can impact my program. Because that's what those games are for. Those are money games.
And you should get money for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Coach.
I tell you, I had my contract. When I played the 1A schools, I would get 10% of the earnings.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. So, but I know for a fact that game is going to be a tough game on Clark as well.
All right, Coach. Let me look. Let's look at these. Will Arkansas Pine Bluff have any problem? Will Central Arkansas have any problem with Arkansas Pine Bluff? I don't think so.
Not at all.
What about Alabama A&M and Austin P?
Austin P big.
Texas Southern and Lamar.
Lamar by 10.
Now this is a good matchup. I'm gonna be rooting for Alcorn State, right? Considering how McNeese played against Southern, but McNeese got a big victory last week against Stephen F. Austin. I'm gonna be rooting for Alcorn, but I believe McNeese is gonna pull it out. What do you guys think?
Well, you got to look now. This is a big game to really see where Southern is. If Alcorn go in there and beat McNeese, then that'll tell you how bad Southern is. You know, because McNeese for the last couple of years has been the worst team over in the South of the conference. So that game is a game to watch.
McNeese, Alcorn beat McNeese last year.
Yeah, everybody beat.
So Alcorn should feel confident in this game. This is one of those games that they should start their role. I like Alcorn winning this game.
I like Alcorn too.
Okay. And this one, before we go to our marquee matchups, we got Florida A&M against Troy. Now, under normal circumstances, you're talking about a 1AA team playing a group of 5 team. You wouldn't think much of this. You think, you know, for sure it's a mollywop. But at the end of the day, in these games against group of 5 teams, recently, Florida A&M has been very competitive. I'll start with you, Bishop. What are you looking for going into this game?
I want, honestly, our defense to get going. I think we saw some flashes against Miami. Thought the defensive line played better actually against Miami than what we played in the 2 previous games. I want to see the defensive line start to make plays to get in the backfield. Dane Richardson has proven that he can play. I mean, he's played on that level, so I'm not worried about his quarterback play. But I'm looking for the defense because this is Florida A&M championship run is going to be determined on that defensive line. And as of right now, we just have not seen the consistency that we're looking at. They've recruited all these group of four players. These players are supposed to have talent. We want to see it. This is one of those games that they should talent-wise, we should not be that far. Again, I'm not expecting us to beat Troy, but I'm expecting us to, like I say, play well, like I say, to get ready for SWAC play.
Let me ask you this here, and this is where we can kind of start this conversation that was on our slide. And I'm going to ask, because I know Bishop Campbell's kind of biased, but I ask Coach, from what we've seen, and you and I have seen Florida A&M up close and personal, right?
Mm-hmm.
From what you've seen in totality up to this point, is Florida A&M the number 1 team in HBCU football as it stands right now?
They've done it on the football field, and I would say yes, number 1. Number 2, are they beatable? Yes. Number 3, are they the Florida A&M running the board like they did? No. Is it things that they definitely need to work on? Yes. They got a hole in their front defensive line. They give up a lot of rushing yards, and if you get a team that can run the ball some and throw the ball, that could cause Florida A&M a lot of problems. They still figuring out their offense. I think their offense is running smoothly, but I think it definitely is going to get better. And you'll see the points when they start putting things together because the offense is always behind the defense.
Let me ask you this, Coach. With where Florida A&M is now and the growth they're ceiling, right? Can they become a dominant team in the SWAC and potentially be Black College National Championships?
The thing about it, what Florida A&M could always do last year, even though they was explosive on offense, was stop people. You know what I mean? Let's face it. We talked about the quarterback last year. I didn't like him that much. He threw a lot of interceptions. He put the defense in a lot of bad situations, but they were able to make the plays when they made them. But their defense was stopped. You just wasn't gonna run over Florida. What I'm seeing now is, and we've talked about it with Coach Cozy, and he knows it too, that they got to find a way to slow people's run game down. That could really, really hurt. Norfolk on the 1 yard line didn't score. South Carolina State had them on the ropes. They came back, offense moved the ball down in the last year and won. So you're gonna be looking to face one of those teams again. You know what I'm saying? So no, they are the best. They solid. On both sides of the ball, but not great. And they got a great coaching staff. That levels everything out. That makes them that much better.
All right, gotcha. All right, Bishop Campbell, if you don't have anything else, we can move on to the featured game.
Wait a minute. Did we talk about Howard and Hampton real quick, though?
Yeah, we got a slide for that.
Oh, okay. All right.
So this game right here, Coach, you guys are going to have to explain this one to me. Everybody's talking about this game right here. I don't get it, but y'all explain it to me what this game means in HBCU folklore.
Well, when they were both in the same conference, it meant a lot. And, it's the HBCU battle of North Carolina, A&T, and Central, and battle of the state. You got the Aggies up, and you got the Eagles down south, and it's a great matchup. But it ain't been so great because North Carolina A&T is not the team they used to be. They're not the team that's going to do something any this year, and it really looks like not even in the future. They're going to have to do something up there in North Carolina A&T to get back to where they were when they were just in the HBCU. Or maybe that's not important.
All right. Again, you know, Mr. Kim, let me get your take on it. Tell me how important it is and why it's
well, first of all, you're talking about the two largest HBCUs in the state. This game right here, I'm talking, and people got to understand, these people interact with each other every day. These people work together. They are fierce rivals. I mean, even too, there was a rumor, and again, I think this was a rumor, that Central was going to charge A&T's band $50 a person, which I think I found out that was a rumor. So again, the vitriol, and shout out to HBCU, like John Sims, he's a proud graduate, watched a lot about what he was talking about this game, and Dave and those guys. This is a game that these guys want to win because A&T, again, is considered the big brother. Central is the little brother. But guess what? The little brother has the better team. The little brother has a better quarterback. And over the last couple of years, as Coach said, since A&T has moved on out of the MEAC, Central has been the better overall program. Those people in North Carolina A&T are not happy about that. That is something that they take a lot of pride in. You're talking about the largest HBCU. You're talking about great facilities. You're talking about a recent dominant championship run. And then your little brother looks better than you, beats Coach Prime, has all this bravado. So you see a lot of people that are talking about this game in North Carolina. This is a game that, honestly, for Central, again, to right the ship, they've lost a couple of games. Again, nothing better than to beat North Carolina A&T. And for North Carolina A&T, this is a game, honestly, that's going to start determining their season. Because, again, if they can't get off the mat against Central, then I think it's going to be a long year, which I already believe is going to be a long year for Vincent Undertaker Brown, who was a proud alumnus of Mississippi Valley State.
All right, this is what I look at coming into this on the field, football-wise. I'm not sold on Walker, Texas Ranger. I'm not sold. Ever since the second half of the FAMU game, the Alabama State game, I'm sorry. I haven't been sold on him at all. I just think I have to see more. And because of his play at quarterback, I think this game is up for grabs for North Carolina A&T. I definitely think it's up for grabs. And so at the end of the day, I believe NCCU will win because I believe in Trey Oliver. But I wouldn't be surprised if North Carolina A&T wins this game.
Well, I don't see A&T winning. I see North Carolina Central. A&T right now is struggling big time.
I agree. I think that's one of those things that, again, when you're looking at A&T, I just think they have not identified their identity. Again, they were a team that was built off the offensive defensive line during their championship runs. They had dominant running backs. You do not see those same caliber of players since they moved over from the Big South to the CAA. Again, I just think that Central, and we had, and once again, friend of the show, Trey Oliver, and I need to go to this game because he told me to come up there, and my Escalades would be put on bricks. So again, I'm about to call Coach Oliver and see if I get a pass to this game because I got kind of a free week because I'm not too much worried about FAMU and Troy. I might have to just drive up there to see this game. But I'm just telling you, these are one of those games that, again, for a team like Central, and Rocky, I'm going to go with you a little bit. For Central, for them to be a Celebration Bowl team, Walker Harris has got to be the guy. I think he's a game manager. He's not Richards by no stretch of the imagination, but I think, again, he's going to have to show something. So, again, if A&T can turn them over, if they can get some offense, then maybe they got a shot. But, again, I still like Trey Oliver. And like I say, and he told me he's going to put my Cadillac on bricks. So I'm going to go with the guy that's going to put my Cadillac on bricks.
Okay. All right. So we got another marquee matchup. And this is the one you asked about earlier. Now, again, y'all gonna have to explain to me the importance of this game. Hampton, again, I know it's an HBCU, but for some reason, when I hear the name, I don't hear the band playing in my mind. I don't know much about the history of the school, and I don't think about what stadium they play in. So you guys explain to me why this game is such a HBCU matchup, and why this game is important in the HBCU folklore.
The old battle of the H's, the battle of the prestige kids, the battle Kids come from two-parent homes. Battle of the intellect. You know what I mean? The battle of how good you look and where we are. You know what I mean? The prestigious. Now we got this vice president, Howard. We got Hampton. Their president is that part owner of Colt. I think he might have retired. You're talking about two of the prestigious HBCU schools up in the north. You know, and they got the great business school and the law school and the medical school at Howard. Uh, so that's what you got here, Coach. The ones that live up in the Hamptons, up in Martha's Vineyard. These type of kids that's there. But it's a great game. It will be a great game. I see both teams gonna battle it out. Man, you got to throw it up in the air. But if I had to choose one, I'm gonna go with the Bisons. They still got their coaching staff, and Hampton's still trying to find itself.
Hey, the people in the chat are going off. They calling this the Bougie Bowl,
Yeah,
the Battle of the Bougie.
yeah,
You now I understand. Y'all don't have to give me any more explanation. I know what this means.
When you go to that game, you got to wear your sports coat with a scarf around your neck.
Yeah,
with some checkered pants.
But from a football standpoint, I gotta take Hampton on this one, guys. Hampton is like what I've said. I think they've had the better outings, and I just gotta think Hampton is gonna win this game, using that offensive line to dominate Howard in a similar way that they dominated Norfolk State.
This is a game, and we're making fun of, like I said, we're talking about two great universities, academic-wise, again, considered one of the Black Eyes. But, Coach, this is a good game football-wise, and this is a good measuring stick for both teams. If I'm sitting up here, even though this, again, has no conference affiliation, but if I'm Howard, this is a test game for me to see what I'm going to do going into MEAC play. Once again, I've looked at what Hampton did to my MEAC brethren of Norfolk State. They ran the ball. Zealous played well. Their running back played well. Howard, can their defense stand up against that offensive line that Hampton looks like they've got going? So for me, this is one of those things that I believe that Howard really wants to win this game. This game is in D.C., played at Audi Field. So again, I think this game is going to be close. But I'm going to tell you something. I like Hampton's quarterback a little bit better, and I like their running game a little bit better. I'm going to go with Hampton doing a close one.
Okay.
Now let me say this. What do you have, Coach?
Oh, I'm gonna go with Howard.
Okay, let me say this. If Hampton is able to pull this off, considering Morgan State was able to start the season off with a victory, does this make Morgan State the front runner in the MEAC going into the regular season, going into conference play?
I would definitely say yes. You got to win on the football field. We could talk this talk on the show, but everything is won and decided in those lines, 53 yards wide and 100 yards long. That's where it's decided at.
Okay. Hey, this is a good one too. We got one more game left over after this one. But this is to me a great matchup. And let me kind of set this up, and y'all can give me y'all impressions of it as well. Like, this is, to me, what we've seen so far in this season is we see the Jackson State program growing each and every game. We see Grambling almost being kind of up and down in their season, right? But when you look at these two teams, this game could really propel them to that next echelon of competition. Like, it can solidify them as one of the. If Grambling wins this game, they obviously are one of the top teams in the West, no doubt about it. Jackson State wins this game, they can solidify themselves as one of the better teams and probably are going to decide what happens on the East, right? So Also, if either one of these teams lose, it could also redefine what I think Jackson State is if they loses this game. And if Grambling loses this game or doesn't have a good showing, it could make me reassess what I believe I saw, against Tuskegee and against, I forget who they played, Tuskegee. So that's what I'm saying. Where are these programs going, Coach? I think for Grambling, this could be a program-defining program. Let me ask you this here, Bishop Campbell. Would this be the best win Grambling has had in about 4 years if they were able to pull this off?
Oh, 100%. See, for me, this is the epitome of SWAC football. We're talking about Hall of Fame programs. We're talking about story programs. When these two teams played, you saw pros on both sides, offense, defense, legendary coaches. This was a game that was 100% about football. Nobody talked about the band. You want to talk about no dance because you saw pros. I'm excited about this game because for the SWAC to be good, these teams need to be good. Jackson State back on the rise after Coach Prime coming in, T.C. Taylor taking over, bringing it. And I'm hoping for Mickey Joseph to bring the pride back to the G because we need Grambling to be good, even though this is a non-conference game. But we're talking about, and I'm telling a lot of people, the last time Jackson State, other than the COVID season, was down here, I actually sponsored Grambling. They played them at night, just like they're doing, 7 p.m., down in the hole. Jackson State lost that game. Grambling was on their run during that time. And what I'm going to tell people is this. That hole at night is special. That game is going to be sold out. The AD's already talked about it. I think Grambling is going to be in there. We're going to hear a lot of JSU. I think the Jackson State people are going to drive down I-20. I think their side is going to be packed. And I think this is going to be, Coach, and you know this is going to be one of those great all-time SWAC football games where everybody is ready to go. I think Jackson State will win this game, but I think Grambling is really going to play and show this to be a springboard where even if they lose, I think they can get a moral victory of saying how tough they play Jackson State. I'm looking for Grambling to play this game close. I'm going to even put a score out there. I'm going Jackson State 28, Grambling 21.
Well, I'll say I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and like you say, this is one of those old traditional matchups. Both teams are 2-1. They're meeting at the right time. You got two popular coaches. Mickey Joseph being a Louisianian is good. T.C. Taylor being a Jacksonian as well, and has played for Jackson State. You got two great offensive minds, and T.C. Taylor and Dooley. I think you couldn't ask for a better matchup, and I'm looking forward to see it. I tell you, I'm gonna take Jackson State. I'll take Jackson State over Graham.
Coach, I want to piggyback on something. This is a game we talked about. Remember this: Grambling has the preseason all SWAC quarterback, Miles Crawley. This is a game, and like I say, people have said that Coach Dooley, because now he doesn't have to worry about the whole team. He's an offensive coordinator. That's really what he does best. This is a game that, again, if Miles Crawley wants to be that all-SWAC quarterback, this is where you make your money at. This is where you come out, where you show that you can throw the ball around the yard. They got Robinson, the kid, is an outstanding wide receiver at Grambling. So, again, they've got the connection there. Again, I just think Jackson State is just too talented on both sides of the ball. That's the reason why I believe they will win this game. But, again, these are the games. I want to see Miles Crawley come up and have a big game. I want to see him and Jacoby and Morgan really challenge each other and say, you done something, I've done something, you do it good, I'm going to do it better. That's what I really want to see out of Miles Crawley also.
Yeah. It's gonna be a good one, Coach. And I'm anxious to see it. And next week it'll be our headliner game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this game as well. Coach, I think this game has the recipe for a high-scoring shootout with Jackson State's ability to run the football, coupled with Grambling's ability to pass the ball. And last week you saw some vulnerabilities in Jackson State's pass defense. I just look for this to be a great game, a clash of a dominant running team against a team that can really spin it. But I have to go with Jackson State on this. I think they've played the more formidable competition. And I just believe that, I believe in Jackson State's talent at this point, and how it showed up not only against ULM, but actually how it showed up against Southern.
Yeah. You got two guys that's battling. They both know they need to win. Um, to keep that momentum going because after this game they get into league play. So this one is very, very important, and it could play a role in the tiebreaker, meaning whoever Jackson State play on the other side, even though it's out of conference, it might come down to a tiebreaker game. So the win is very important for both schools. All right.
All right, guys. Let me go to the next screen. My bad. We got so many things going on over here. All right, guys. This is what I would consider the marquee game of the week. Unlike that you might say that previous game may be the marquee game, but I say this is the marquee game because the Grambling Jackson State game, for whatever reason, is not a conference game. Correct, Bishop?
Correct. Yeah. Yep. Not a conference game. This game just a measure stick game and for pride. This right here is an important game. And I'll start it off. Hey, very rare do you say this. PV season's on the line in this game. They've already had one conference loss against Texas Southern that they weren't expecting. They said this was going to be their championship run. An interesting stat, and I believe Southern has won 4 straight or 5 straight games at Prairie View, which was a very interesting stat when I was looking at this game breakdown. But one of the things I think Prairie View has now found their quarterback with Cameron Peters. I think Prairie View has the 2 best wide receivers duos, like I said, with Shamar Savage and Spiller. I think both of those guys can go get it. I think the question is with PV, what is the defense going to do? What are they going to do? On the other side with Southern, again, we didn't see any rushing attack from Southern. We did not see the defense giving any resistance to Jackson State. And then I believe T-Set's going to be out with the high ankle sprain, so Noah Biden comes in and quarterbacks this game. Again, I think that was a lot of empty calories with the 300-plus yards that he threw against Jackson State. So, again, if Prairie View wants to be a championship team, this is a game I think they should win big. So, I'm going to take Prairie View by 2 touchdowns. Because, like I said, Prairie View has to win. Because if they lose this game, those T-shirts that Lionel is selling, he's sending them to Africa. Because he's got swag championship T-shirts already printed. And Prairie View, if they lose this game, their season is over.
You said they sending the T-shirts to Africa, huh?
They send hey, Coach, like they do those Super Bowl T-shirts. And I mean, my man, that's my nephew. I love what Lionel's doing. PV versus everybody's doing a great job on his podcast and everything like that. But that man has got T-shirts made, Coach, with swag champion. So, again, if those T-shirts going to be worth anything, we'll find out at the end of Saturday night.
Coach, without a doubt, man, this is a big, 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 big game for Southern University. We had that scramble about 2 years ago, I think, where all the teams were 4-3. I don't know if we're going to have that this year. But if we do, this game will count. Last time Texas Southern had beat Southern. And that's how Texas Southern was great to be in the game, but they end up losing at the end. Remember that, Coach Bishop?
Absolutely.
So if PB loses, now they're down 2 games to both of these teams. Now even if they tie, PB would sit at number 3, unless Southern and Texas Southern lose more than 2 games. More than 2 games. That means each Southern and Texas Southern would have to go 4. They would have to go 4-3. No, they would have to go 3-3. And then it's gonna be tough. It's a good matchup. Southern is struggling on the offensive side of the football, as well as stopping people on defense, not being consistent. Prairie View laid an egg at the Labor Day Classic. They didn't know whether they were a passing team, running team, defense stuff. Was able to come back and beat a good team last week. Both teams will see where they are. The loser of this game should start getting ready for next year, I think.
I 100% agree on that, Coach. I just think this is one of those games. And again, I listened to both coaches during the coaches call, and one of the things that Coach McDowell was just telling his players, do your job. That's one of the things he started talking about. He started preaching. So I think this is going to be one of those weeks where Coach Bubba McDowell talks about fundamentals, talking about, hey, Coach, the old school, just blocking and tackling. I think that's really what's going to be key for Prairie View. Again, they've got playmakers. They've got their quarterback that they've solidified with Peters. Again, they've got the wideouts. Again, can they just do fundamental football? Fundamental football will win this game. I think Coach Graves and them, like I said, I think that Southern program after the Jackson State loss, I think there's a lot of finger pointing. I think they were looking for T-Set to be the savior. I think, again, the kid's not going to be there. And again, I'm just not sold on nobody. I just think that, again, he's not ready to be a primetime quarterback. And I'm really shocked by that because we had high hopes for him when he came into the SWAC.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, take Coach Graves, they've dug a hole for themselves. And, as a young head coach, or let me say a new head coach, because he's been around, you got to go find the answer. And you can't go to the grocery store and get them. The answers is right there in the dormitory and in that locker room. And you got to be able to put some things together to start putting some scores and some stops as well. So they got their work cut out. Both teams are kind of battling and trying to find out who they are. At this late in time, the thing that Prairie View do have over Southern is that Coach Bubba McDowell has been there. He has this footprint in that program, as if Southern is starting all back over under the leadership of Coach Graves.
The way I think about this game is PV season right now is really boiled down to two games. One this week and one next week. One playing Southern, and I think it's potentially at a really bad time right before the State Fair Classic. And Southern, if they come in with a sound game plan, they possibly could pick PV off with them looking ahead to the State Fair Classic. But something is telling me PV won't be looking past Southern.
They can't.
Considering what Bishop Campbell said earlier, is that they've lost 5 consecutive home games to Southern. Personally, I think that PV rights the ship and gets a victory against Southern because, in my opinion, if they can't beat this Southern team at home, they may not ever be able to beat any Southern team at home.
Yeah, it's Southern laid an egg last year. The last couple of years against Texas Southern, laid an egg against Prairie View a couple times. It's big. It's big, So I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm really looking at that matchup.
Coach, let me ask you, this is once again, we've got HBCU Coach Corner with Johnny Cole. So this is the great thing about it. You actually have been in this position. Coach, what does Bubba McDowell, does he talk about how important this game is? Or do you just coach it that, hey, this is the game ahead of us? Or does he say, hey, guys, if we want to be SWAC champions, this is a game we got to have? How do you play that, Coach? Or it depends on the makeup of your team. What would you do in this situation?
Well, definitely you got to coach the game one week at a time and not 2 weeks. I think about my experiences. It's about focus. It's about where your kids are. I'm a big disciplinarian. We're not going to do anything different. The kids know, how we don't dress, what we don't wear, how we don't look if we're traveling, what time to be where they supposed to be at this time. You would get a good feel. I don't know what's happening on both camps. Are the kids going to class? Are they coming to breakfast, mandatory breakfast? Are they getting in the weight room on time? Do I got the right trigger man? I struggled my championship year with I had a kid that wasn't a pastor, but he was a great athlete. He's athletic. Do I stay with him or do I move? I stayed with him because, like we talked before in other shows, I don't believe in the 2 quarterback system. I believe that this kid can make it happen and get us where we can get. And I didn't hold the playbook back from him. because we were just that good defensively. We finished #1 in the nation. So I just kind of stayed with the plan, made sure I had enough explosive plays to be able to get in the end zone. So, and that's what I focused. I just focused straight on the game there. I didn't focus on down the line, and we were able to be successful in running tape.
Yeah, Coach, that's awesome. Again, we got a lot of great, quite a few very interesting matchups this week. And so I think, as we go along this season is going to sort it out itself. One thing about it, Coach, and Mr. Campbell, what we think is going to happen will all play itself out on the field, and we'll get to see whether we're right or wrong. I'm with you guys in the camp that I think PV, this is a must win for PV, and I think PV will win. But if they don't, and Southern gets off the mat, I don't know what's going to happen in this conference.
Well, I tell you what, the pressure on both coaches will turn up. That oven, they're gonna put that oven on 400, Bishop. They're not gonna be baking biscuits. It's gonna be some fried chicken up in there.
Well, see, this is the thing. But this goes back to expectations for your fan base. And I'm going to speak on something. The FAMU fan base, there was no in between. Celebration Bowl or bust. The team knew it. Coach Simmons said it out loud. He didn't run from it. The Jackson State teams with Dion. Celebration Bowl or bust. They had the most talent. Everybody knew it. The Grambling teams. The Alcorn team. So the question is, does Prairie View understand what it takes to go on this championship run? And my thing is, this fan base, they've been doing a lot. Coach, we've seen them all in the chat. They've been doing a lot of talking. But their team has yet to stand up to back up the talk. This is the game that as a fan that you want your team, that you can stick out your chest, because first of all, is one of your division rivals that you have had trouble with historically. The Southern has dominated this rivalry. They're very close. A lot of alumni from Southern live in Texas. So again, they interact all the time. And you're saying this is your season. You have been to the SWAC championship. You say you're building. And if Southern comes in here and beats you once again, then I think this is going to be trouble for the whole season, for the rest of the season for Prairie View.
Hey guys, I want to remind you, if you call in, let me say, if you call in, turn your sound down. The setup we got now is not real sound tolerant. So if you call in, have your sound turned all the way down, and then wait till I bring you in before you say something. So if you want to call in, we're going to give you about 5 minutes to do so. We had a caller. You called in, but you got to have your background noise turned off, and then wait till I bring you in. Go ahead.
Yeah. Let me say this, and you agree with me on Bishop. When you look at where we are in our conference on the coaching part, you would think that Coach, he's been at Prairie View for 3 years. He should be a lot further than Southern is, bringing in Terrence Grave, a young guy. So you do have that to cheer for. So when those guys, when we heard the show, they felt really good, but they didn't look at the big picture. In the last couple years, you really didn't know who was going to win the West until at least either the last week or the last 2 weeks of the team. There's no dominant team in the West like it was over in the East. You knew either Jackson State, Florida A&M. You could count the order how they were going. Here you don't know. So what do you say? It's so many questions go. Are we really good? Are we really the cream of the crop over in the West? Because you got Coach Joseph over there. They got 2 head coaches. You know what I'm saying? You can't be limping. I don't think this year it's going to be another 4-3 run, and you got 4 teams or 3 teams with 4-3 records.
Hey, Coach, we got a couple callers. Let's go ahead and take
Yeah.
this couple calls right quick.
Okay, good.
Hey, callers, let me get my man right here. Hey, caller, you're live with the last 45119. You're live on HBCU Coach's Corner.
Hey, Rocky, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's going on?
All right. Hey, this is A&T Roy.
My guy.
Yeah, what's up, Steve?
What's going on, man? Hey, listen, man. Hey, man. Let me listen. This guy right here is an Aggie through and through. He has been there with the good times, and he's definitely been down there with the bad times. Hey, man, tell us what's going to happen in this game this Saturday.
All right, so I want to give y'all some more information beyond that, but I also want to say, hey, Coach, how you doing?
Good. I'm wonderful. Great. Thank you.
All right. So let me give y'all the rundown of what's going to happen this game Saturday. So North Carolina Central is not going to run Devious Richard out on that field this coming Saturday. He is arguably, probably in many people's minds, the best quarterback they've ever had. When you talk about being able to throw the ball and to run the ball. They had a kid back in the 80s named Air Harvey, who was probably their best passer, but Devious Richard, man, he's a game changer. So, I think the quarterback situation this year is maybe a wash, but we might have a bit of an advantage because our quarterback is much more mobile than Walker Harris. And they probably throw the ball about the same. So I think that big advantage that they had last year, and matter of fact, the last 2 years is gone. And our team is a bit older, a bit bigger than what we were last year. I think we're going to go down there and take this football game.
Well, A&T Roy, how do you explain the tussle they had with Division II team Winston-Salem?
Well, you know, the only thing I can say is I think we overlooked them. You know, we're going to beat these chumps. You know, they're a D2 team. But now I will also say I think Winston probably has a better team than many people thought they would have this year. So I think the combination of them being a bit better, it being a rivalry game, and us basically overlooking them probably played a big role in what happened.
All right.
Well, hold on real quick. Let me ask you a question. You talked about your quarterback. So we saw what Andrew Body did against Central. So are you looking for your coach, Coach Brown, where he's going to, like I say, what Coach talked about, some naked boots, some rollouts and things like that? Are you looking at this? What you're saying that your quarterback can try to accomplish? Which, because we did see that the quarterback was effective running against Central. So is that what you're telling us that could happen in that game?
Well, I think we got a very good chance of doing that. Matter of fact, his name is Kevin White. He did a bit more running in this last game than what he had done in the earlier games. Because based on what we can tell, the coaching staff was really trying to have him work on his passing game as much as he could. But definitely know that he can run the football. And matter of fact, he's a 10-2 100 meter or 200 or 100 meter or something like that. So
wow.
He's really fast. But they've been trying to make him work on his passing game. And so maybe we'll see him open it up a bit more in this game, even more than what we did against Delaware.
10-2.
That's something. Now, bro, one other thing, clear it up for the fan. Are them folks charging y'all band to come down there or not, man? Clear that up for the people.
Well, what I heard is that because our band is so big, that we're going to take up more space than what they would normally have for a band that comes. And so they were, now I don't know 100%, but I heard from what I think is a good source that they were charging us for the extra space, not the regular space that they have for bands.
Maybe what they charge y'all, and they just add it up per person. Like if you said, okay, we'll charge you an extra $1,000 per. Well, we bring in such that means that's $50 per person. Maybe.
But I just got a question because this is for the band. But haven't y'all played in that stadium before and brought the band before, and this never been a problem?
Well, I would say I think somebody said our band is the biggest band we ever had.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I don't know what all that means, but yeah.
Hey man, hey, Roy, you know what that means when somebody say they got the biggest you ever seen. You know what that means, Roy.
He slid that in there. He slid that in. You got to watch Roy. He slid that in there, Rocky. He knew what he was saying.
So Roy, let me ask you a question. You still there?
Yeah.
How are you guys gonna do in your conference?
Well, so this is really why I called, because I wanted to kind of give you guys a bit of assistance on who we are, what we're doing, and where we're at. So let me say this. It was years in the making for us to lead the MEAC. I think back in 2015, we were having conversations around, man, we got a lot of expenses. And the big thing about the MEAC was we really wanted them to, we saw as a really big expense that we had, and that was travel. So back in 2015, we were talking about it. We did a study for conferences that we might want to go to if we were to lead the MEAC. And I will tell you that the CAA was the #1 FCS conference that we considered going to, but they weren't broken into divisions. So that took them off the table. Then that left the Big South. The Big South was a North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia conference that allowed us not to do all that travel all over the place. So we saved a lot of money. I mean, a lot.
Yes, y'all did.
FAMU and say again?
I said, yes, y'all did. I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, so I don't know what FAMU and Bethune-Cookman did, if they did, big study and years ahead or not, but we were years ahead of this.
Let me ask you, hey, Roy, let me ask you a question because you're doing a lot of politicking on here, Roy. Now, I just want to ask you this here. With that move and with all the money that you saved, how many championships did it equal up to all that money that you saved?
Well, we played for the championship in the Big South in the last year that we were there. Of course, we lost the game. Matter of fact, I would tell you, Gardner-Wells had a very good
Is there a trophy? Do you get a trophy for playing in the championship?
No.
No, we did. We did.
Oh, okay. So that's zero, right?
It's absolutely zero.
Oh, okay.
So what happened was the CAA, I think when James Madison decided to leave, the CAA said, you know what, we're going to open up for new membership. That was our opportunity. So when they said that, they said, well, what we'll do is we will at some level break up into divisions, but it turned into pods, 3-team pods. So, hey, we took the opportunity, and our athletic director and board of trustees said, we know we're not at the level we need to be at in this conference at this time, but we're going to go ahead and take this opportunity while it's presented itself. So we know we're budget behind. We know we're facilities behind. We know we are players behind in terms of size and ability. So yeah, we're taking some lumps right now.
Can I stop you right there? So have the money you saved equal up to how many national championships y'all won?
They won 4. Coach, Troy said the greatest run in HBCU history.
4 HBCU national championships. Enrollment shot up, what, 300-400%? Y'all became the largest HBCU school. That means money. To tell me, was the money that you saved worth the money that you're now losing because nobody comes to the games? And when you travel, nobody goes to the game?
That's not true.
Okay.
Hey, Roy,
so y'all crowds are the same as when y'all won all those championships, Roy.
Roy, let me.
I'm gonna pull a picture and show you it ain't.
Roy, this is what I'm saying. Y'all like that black family who has the best house in the black neighborhood, eats the best food, and got the best cars, and y'all move out to the suburbs and buy a big brand new house in the suburbs, only to find out it costs you twice as much to live there, so y'all end up eating bologna and potted meat and crackers the whole time y'all living in that house.
Don't have no furniture in the living room, Rocky. No furniture. That front room is empty.
And they done went from 2 Cadillacs to 1 Toyota Corolla.
In the pool they bought it stays green.
Yeah, so let me say this. I mean, I get all the skepticism about what we're doing, but let me say this.
Okay, hold up, Roy. See, you politicking again, Roy. This ain't skepticism. This is reality that we're talking. Y'all went from being one of the best HBCUs in the country to not only non-competitive in the HBCU space, but y'all not even competitive in the field that y'all are trying to be in, and y'all went in there knowing you weren't ready.
Okay,
let me say this last thing. So considering where you are in the HBCU space, and considering where you are amongst your peers in your conference, isn't it a net loss?
Well, that's if you look at it at this point in time, and this being our second year.
I mean, where else you want us to look at it?
Well, that's what I'm saying is we know we got some building to do. But let me go back to what Coach said. Coach, let me tell you this. Enrollment at North Carolina A&T is continuing to grow. We broke another record this year. We're over 14,000. Okay. We had over 47,000 applicants for North Carolina A&T. I will tell you that our Aggie Athletic Foundation giving has more than doubled.
But we talking about practice, man. What are we talking about? Practice? But we talking about practice, man. What are we talking about?
Upgrade our facility.
Practice?
We have plans. We have added a nutritionist full-time. We have a full-time strength and conditioning staff that just came on this year.
I just hope we can win a game.
So what you're going to see, hey, man.
Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
So what you're going to see is that we're getting ready to grow and be more competitive in this conference because we are putting in the infrastructure in order to be able to participate.
But we talking about practice, man. What are we talking about? Practice?
Hey, so what I'm trying to tell you all is that we're just in our second year. We haven't played conference.
But we talking about practice, man. What are we talking about?
We're going to
practice.
We're going to beat North Carolina Central this coming weekend. We're going to beat South Carolina State. Then we're going to possibly win a few games in the CAA.
Okay.
Practice, man. What are we talking?
Y'all going to be just like Tennessee State over there in that conference.
So T-Roy.
Oh, no, sir. No, sir.
Hey,
no, sir.
T-Roy.
So, hey, T-Roy. We got a 20,000 seat stadium on our campus. We don't travel to a professional.
So T-Roy.
Where they get 3,000 people.
T-Roy, I want to ask you this here, bro, before we let you go, and I appreciate you calling in. So today, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Today, I'm talking about on September 17th at 11:27 Eastern Time. Is North Carolina better off today than they were 4 years ago?
Not on the football field.
Where y'all better at? So I want to tell me where y'all better at.
I just named the stuff.
Hey, can I ask you something? Can I ask you something, Rob?
Let me say this. Let
me ask you something.
Budget has increased by $2 million.
Rob, let me ask you something.
Rob, we talking about practice, man. What are we talking about?
So what we're doing is putting the things in place in order that our football team wins. And let me tell you something else. You're going to see a big improvement in men's and women's basketball this
year. See, guys, this is what happens when these non-athletic folks get in a room together and talk about money, ghost money that we can make, instead of having the money and grow where you are. You know, the enrollment is up because of football. Annual giving is up because of football. People want to go to A&T was because of football. But I guarantee you guys, if they don't win there, that enrollment going to start going other way. I guarantee you.
Hey, T-Roy, I want to thank you for calling in, man. I appreciate it. We got several other.
Can I respond to that?
Hey, bro, we got several other callers, man. We'd like to get off here before the end of the night. All right, you can call back tomorrow.
Okay.
No, call back next week. We'll see if you win that game, Roy. That's what we want you to do. After that game, you call back next Tuesday. That's what he did, Rocky. We'll hold it for next Tuesday.
All right, caller with the last 40536. You're live on HBCU Coach's Corner.
How you doing, gentlemen?
What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Tank Job. Come from Nashville, Tennessee. How you guys doing?
I'm good.
To all you guys out there in the HBCU world, I just want to let you know, the Tennessee State's still standing, baby. Okay? We still standing.
Is this Jay Prince?
Jay Prince.
Yeah.
No, it's not Jay Prince, brother.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
We still standing. And we're going to keep on keeping on, baby. Now, to just address this to Coach Cole directly. Coach Cole, I am sorry, brother, that we didn't treat you and your brother the way we should have at that time. But one thing about that is that was a completely different administration. That president, God rest his soul, in the Omega chapter has gone on to glory. And it's a completely different deal now. And you know, and I'm sure Coach Campbell knows, there's a lot of politics that's involved with TSU. Probably more politics with TSU than any other HBCU that is standing.
I will agree with that.
After that, they have been after that university forever. Anytime you got $2.1 billion owed to a university, and they still won't back off of that, what does that tell you? But despite what you think about Eddie, look, a lot of us was not in favor of the hire. That was Dr. Glover trying to keep up with the Joneses, with the whole Dion thing and all that, because she used to be obviously employed at Jackson State, and quite sure she still knew a lot of people there, and she wanted to, do what they were doing, okay? But Eddie has worked his butt off to become a better coach. He still isn't where he needs to be, but he has worked his butt off, and he has worked his butt off within that program. Now, I know Coach Cole, you are the rebel that he is, brother. I know you ain't cool with that, and that's cool. I get it, brother.
Yeah, you know he's the highest paid Division I AA coach.
Yes.
Okay.
That's it,
of course, he had no coaching experience whatsoever.
Hey, all right, look, we understand that. Okay.
I recruited.
I wish you and your brother came along in this time, and you could have got that money. But that's neither here nor there. We can't change the hands of time. We can't go back in time and change that.
What's your name again, sir?
You can correct it.
I'm just saying, my name is Tank Job.
Tank Job. All right.
Tank Job.
Tank. All right, Tank Job. Let me say this, Tank Job. This is what I want to say. Is that at the end of the day, y'all are paying as much for wins as TSU was paying a few years ago.
A whole staff. Whole staff.
So are you happy with the situation of what y'all paying per win to y'all coaching staff?
That's to be determined, brother. I mean, that was above our pay grade. And above,
I said, no. I asked, were you happy with it? That's what I asked.
No, not initially, no.
Are you happy now, though?
But you got to be around the program to see what this man's building.
Wait a minute. Okay. Jackson State and Tennessee State have a lineage and a connection. Okay, I'm glad you said that. Jackson State replaced the coach. Jackson State can look at T.C. Taylor and said, we see the future. We see what you're building. I'm going to ask the same question to you. Can you make the same statement that Jackson State people could say with T.C. Taylor with Eddie George? Do you see you all building? Do you see Tennessee State getting better?
Yeah, without doubt.
Okay.
Without doubt.
Hey, Tank Job, man, we're gonna go ahead and let you go because we got people calling in. Let's make this last couple calls. Hold on. Caller, you live on the airway, HBCU Coach's Corner. What's your name and where you calling from? And that's with the last 4, 3859.
Johnny.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Rocky, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can.
I think that's that Johnny T calling out that. Johnny T would have told you, but you got to use that home phone when you calling here, man. You know you stay out there, that big palatial palace out there, that ranch, and you right there trying to use your cell phone, and you know you ain't getting no cell service out there with them cows and stuff, man. Told you about that.
Can we expand on Tennessee State while you get the next call?
Yeah, go ahead.
Georgia's been there 4 years. The average salary on their staff is $79,000. That was more than my brother was making as a head coach. How and why should you continue to go down the rabbit hole thinking that this guy's going to turn it around when he has no experience? Where we're working on it. Well, you lost to Lane College. Tennessee State lost to Lane College. Coach, they finished in the bottom of the conference since he's been there. At the bottom. Now they playing Pine Bluff, Mississippi Valley. They're playing schools that we can that you shouldn't even be playing as a Tennessee State. I mean, you said it earlier, Coach Bishop. Jackson State, Tennessee State, Florida A&M, their non-conference games were just as hard as their conference games. Because that was the blue bread. That was the here. Tennessee State would go 11-0, 9-1, 10-1, national championship. And then they got mediocre.
Hey, Coach, I don't know where these people calling from. I don't know where the 704 is. That may be Charlotte or something like that.
That's 704 is Charlotte.
Oh,
that might Roy that got on the A&T chat. Now they gonna start calling defending the A&T. Come on, let's go with it.
Hey, caller, you're live on the air with HBCU Coach's Corner. What's your name and where you calling from? Your last 4 is 1538.
Yo, what's going on, man?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, what's your name and where you calling from, my brother?
Yeah, man, this is ODB calling from Charlotte.
Hey, none of y'all got real names like Jesse, Ray, Earl, or nothing like that. All y'all got aliases.
Them boys got engineering. They can't give out their government names, man. They don't want y'all.
We can't get an Otis from Charlotte. Go ahead, brother.
Nah. What's good, man? Nah, I just want to call in, man. It's the first time ever calling the show, man. Appreciate the show. I found y'all about a month ago. So
thanks for the love, man.
Bringing all the coaches on and bringing the coaches' perspective. And shout out to you, Coach Cole. I just want to shout out, man, because I'm an Aggie, so I'm looking forward to this Aggie Eagle Classic. I just want to give y'all a warning, man. You got to be careful with giving my brother Troy a microphone. You know what I'm saying? That's my brother. I never met him, but he's an Aggie, so I love him because he's an Aggie. But Troy will hold you hostage with a history lesson with A&T. So, he's a good dude, but he stands up and, he's always showing love for the Aggies and stuff. But just my personal opinion on where we are today as a program, to me, my opinion, I'm not questioning the move as much. I'm questioning, and I'm not. It started with the decision to move on from Sam Washington. Now, whether you want to move on from him, that's your choice and whatever. But my thing is the timing of when they made that move, right? If you look at it, it was a late decision to move on from Sam Washington. I think we were like in mid-December when they made that move, right? We were the early signing period was starting. I think the Celebration Bowl was going around. We made the decision, came out of nowhere, and then it took them almost like a month to hire a new coach. And by the time they hired a new coach, it was probably like a couple of days before National Signing Day. So now we had to scramble. The current coaching staff had to scramble to prove their worth to try to bring in a coaching staff. The players, you had players jumping in the portal because they were mad Sam Washington left. And things like that. So it was a nightmare, and we didn't get to hire our coaching staff until late. So you had that culmination of a late decision to fire Sam Washington.
And let me say this, but see this way
to make the hire,
Yeah,
right?
but let me say one real
Not
quick.
getting-
Let me come in on you for 1 second. Can I come in on 1 second? I didn't mean to cut you off, but this is what happens when these guys sit up in these offices and never put a helmet on, never been on the sideline, never coach, and they making decisions about finances and don't understand how the finances can get. The program that North Carolina A&T had, if you don't get rid of Sam Washington, you should have started maybe in the middle of the season looking for who's that coach. Because I know when they looked at Sam, they looked at his background, he's been on the HBCU. This is what happens all the time. And now they're in what they call a PWI conference, and we need to go find that type of guy. And like the guy said, they waited so late, they killed the program. They dug a hole for the program. What I say about coaches? How many coaches can win, coach?
25%, coach.
25% of the 75. So now it's like finding a needle in a haystack to find that right guy. You don't know when it's going to be. It might take another 10 years to find.
But
I don't want to use myself, but I left in 2010. Now it's 2015, and we ain't won over 2 or 3 games. You see what I'm saying? That's why it was so valuable with Florida A&M, and when they kept Coach Cozy, at least Coach Cozy kept everything together. When they got rid of Sam Washington, everything just, and that's because these guys make decisions and don't understand the decisions they make, and it might take them another 5 to 10 years to get that program back together because they jumped it out. Go ahead.
Now you can't be saying 5 to 10 years. We ain't got patience for that.
Well, I'm letting you know.
Well, ODB, the issue is winning ain't on nobody's timeline but the winner. You understand what I'm saying? And so what has to happen, and I'll tell you guys this. This ain't got nothing to do with HBCU. This is just football. If you're gonna win at football, you gotta hire a winner.
Right.
Yeah.
There's only way around it. You got to go find a guy who wins. And if AT&T, if North Carolina A&T is the program you believe it is, they'll go find a winner. They'll go hire a winner, and they'll hire him, and they'll put him at the helm of y'all program, and y'all will let him do his job, and y'all will let him win.
Not your boy, not your partner, not your frat brother.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing with that. I don't mean to yell, but I got you on speakerphone, so it's kind of hard to hear y'all a little bit. But what my thing is with Coach Brown, and you take a look at the so the best coach probably in HBCU football right now, probably hate to say it, is probably George Oliver down at North Carolina Central. Right?
Ain't no problem about it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So when he was hired, did he hit the ground running and had instant success with North Carolina Central, or did it take him a couple of years to build that program up?
No. Now, do you know his background? He was
I know his background. He's a great coach.
He was a part of 4 national championships.
But the point,
he was under Jerry Mack. He was under Rob
when they brought him in. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said, do you know his background? He was a part.
No, I mean, I know. Well, I ain't sure I know his entire background, but I know he came from a coaching tree under Coach Broadway, and he has experience. Yeah, he even coached down at Grambling, and he's from Central. And all that
okay.
So don't start where he started the program from, because anybody that comes in, we went to Tennessee State. We were 4-6 national championship. I went to Texas Southern. They was 0-44. But the thing of what he just said. His resume says championship.
He's a winner.
Not Q. He's a winner. Troy Oliver was a winner. It just took him a minute.
And that's my point. But that's what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is we don't even know how. Now listen, Coach Brown.
Coach Brown did not come from a winning championship tree, and he's a first-year coach. He's never. He's ever been a coordinator.
Yeah. No, I'm not disagreeing with that at all. That's what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, he's truly only in his first year, because his last year was a complete wash because he was a late hire. So he's gonna need another year. If he doesn't turn around by the end of next year, he's gonna be. So I'm gonna tell you this. He's not gonna turn around,
and y'all gonna be looking for another coach next year. I can predict your future because you didn't hire what coach?
A winner.
That's how. What I'm saying is, you think Alabama is gonna try a guy out? You think the University of Georgia is gonna try a guy out? Huh?
Why do you think everybody go to Alabama and get Nick Saban's coaching? Because they come from a championship program. Why do we think that, coach?
I don't know. So this is what I'm saying. If A&T is the program that they believe they are, and they come from the pedigree that they believe they are, they should walk in to whoever is the best HBCU coach or the best coach that they feel fits their program, and they walk in with a check and a key to the office.
That's right.
And you get him to come there.
Yeah.
You don't have to come in there hiring a guy you think can do it. I hope he can turn us around. I think the main reason why, like you guys talked about it before, I think the main reason why they went with Brown because he came from a program that had several when he was all part of that program. But granted, like you said, he was never a head coach, so that should have been a red flag in the hiring process. He has the background of being on winning programs, and that's what stuck out to him because ultimately, at the end of the day, has he won national championships, coach? Has he won national championship?
He has, and the University of Richmond when they won a national championship. He was I think he was the defensive coordinator on the University of Richmond when they won the national championship.
I think he was a linebacker coach.
I think it was Williams and Mary,
Yeah,
but he was
he was a DC at William and Mary, but I think he was a linebacker coach at Richmond. Yeah.
Hey, ODB, we're gonna take our last call, man. Thank you for calling in. All right, caller with the last 43859. You're the last one for the night, man. What's your name and where you calling from?
Johnny Thornton, North Carolina Central.
Hey, man, Johnny. Hey, man. What you got, Johnny?
You give me the time of it.
Need to turn that radio down.
Yeah, I think
he's Rocky.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
Okay, listen. I'm just gonna speak about them Aggies, man. Rocky.
See, we told Johnny to call on that landline. He keeps wanting to go out there outside with his glass of Henny and his cigar. We told you, tell your wife to get off the phone with her sister and let you use the phone and use that landline, man. I know y'all still got that landline in your house. Johnny T big money now. Just let y'all know. He still got a landline. Just let y'all know.
You know how much expensive a landline is nowadays, man?
Man, listen, Johnny T big money over there, man. Got that big money. But I tell you one thing, he got to do something better. He got to get Verizon or something. Because Johnny, we can't hear you, brother. That's probably him calling back.
No.
You got another call?
No.
Before we go?
No, we ain't got one now, man. We good.
Okay.
Hey, man, I want to appreciate everybody calling in. The interaction actually makes the show much livelier, even though it makes it much longer. And let me get some of these calls. Here we go again.
Let Johnny T give him his 2 minutes, right? We just put him on a timer. Give him 2 minutes because he got to do this smack talk. Give him 2 minutes.
Yeah, I got him. Johnny T, call in. Call back.
I thought that was.
Yeah, I thought I answered it, and it looked like he went out. But I want to thank everybody for calling in. Johnny T, if you call back, I'll answer it, man. But yeah, man, you know what? The footprint of this show is growing. There was a time when we just got calls from people from Jackson, and then we just got people from FAMU. Now we all the way up on the East Coast, man, getting calls, man, from people down in North Carolina, Coach. Our audience, hey, and they up late too, Coach. They up late.
Yeah.
They cutting in.
Coach Edwin Moore said, "Man, pick the phone up, man. You hung up on him."
Well, tell him to call back. Go ahead and call back, Edwin. Go ahead and call back, my brother. Hey, charge it to my head, not my heart, man. I wasn't doing it on purpose at all, man.
Well, Rocky, let me say something real quick about that. See, see what we're doing on HBCU Coaches Corner. And remember, we've had coaches from the SWAC, the MEAC, the SIAC. We're covering everybody. We even giving A&T a little love, even though they went out there with the white folks and moved out there. We give them a little love. we give Central a little love because other shows are really SWAC centric. You know what I mean? Josh and them do a great job. They talk a lot about MEAC, but they don't really talk about the SWAC. Josh and them, they MEAC guys. I mean, they got BJ on there. BJ is the Southern guy, but that's a MEAC. Those are MEAC guys. But we are internationally known and locally loved over here, so we cover everybody. So everybody appreciates that.
Hey, caller, you're live on the air with HBCU Coaches Corner. What's your name and where you calling from?
I'm from North Carolina tonight.
All right, who you gonna have to slow down? Let me see who is this again? You either on speakerphone.
From North Carolina Central University.
All right, brother. Hey, Johnny T. Hopefully we can understand you, Johnny. Go ahead.
Can you hear me clearly now?
Not clearly, but we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, real quick. Them Aggies lying through their teeth, man. This school is growing leaps and bounds because they got more land than anybody in the whole state of North Carolina. Now, to their defense, they do give. Their alumni give. They put their money where their mouth is. I mean, they outgive us 75 cents. For every dollar we give, they give 75 cents. We only give a quarter. But the bottom line is they tried to move on up, like you said, to the other neighborhood. They got a swimming pool. They couldn't pay the HOA fee. They couldn't keep the swimming pool clean. Now it's got mosquitoes in it. And they sent it by the enrollment. Our enrollment tripled this year too. All HBCU enrollments are going up because it went anyway in Carolina. So you get into the big PWIs is easy. And they just might as well get ready for these next 6 or 7 years to put that football on like we're on. And as Jerry Cloud said about anything, the thing his cousin hated worse than a coon was a lying coon dog. anything I heard hate worse than anything is a lying Aggie dog. And the Aggie dogs don't do nothing but follow Hampton from place to place, sniffing behind them like they in heat and Hampton is the woman. They just boo-boo and step back over in it. And one more thing, if anybody think Trey Oliver gonna show you all his cards for 3 games this season, you sad and mistaken. And we all know the great young man said, if you got 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. Well, that counts for the NFL. That doesn't count for college and high school. If you got 2 or 3 athletes that can play QB in college and high school, you can win, baby. And trust me, we got QB2 and QB3 that can carry out business any day of the week. Now, they can't look up and knock us on our ass Saturday night, yeah, because that's football. It's about who knock who in the mouth first. Because I'm lucky. My wife might knock you out, right? If you got this off like one of our elementary school kids, but she can't whoop you 3 nights in a row. And Coach Cole, I want to tell you this too. In Miami, man, them people in Miami spoke about you at Alabama State like you were Jesus. And you too intelligent of a man. Ain't no way you gonna be on no college campus as no head football coach. And you got black male president, not back in the day. Now you might make it. Now they got a bunch of female presidents that don't really care how charismatic the male coach is. But no, you wasn't gonna make it, bro. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry for you. But to that end, man, you know, I told Scotty, every time somebody from A&T calls, same thing for you all. Just hang the phone up. I'll drop in another $5 to cover the charge. But we don't get nothing they got to say. They win at least 3 games in a row. You understand what I'm saying? And when they win 3 games in a row, before they do that, they need to keep their mouth shut and stay out of our media swag business. That's what they need to do. All right?
Right.
All right, Johnny T. Hey, one thing I've just figured out. Whatever they got going on in the MEAC or on the East Coast, it's just as intense as it may be. Jackson State Southern, FAMU Southern, Southern, Prairie View TSU. It's just as intense.
Listen, North Carolina A&T and North Carolina Central, again, a lot of pride, a lot of history between those 2 programs. And, man, they hate each other, man. I'm telling you something. They hate each other. And I mean, when you hear it, and I'm glad that we were able to give them opportunity because we were one of the people that featured this game. So I'm glad they were able to call in and talk about it. But I'm gonna tell you on both sides. So like I said, I'm from North Carolina. My family went to Fayetteville State and went to A&T. I want all that same energy next Tuesday night when you explain why your team lost. Okay? Because somebody gonna lose the game, coach. So I need for them to come right back on. We're gonna shorten this thing up, and we're gonna give you 2 minutes, no more and no less, to make your point.
And let me say this to you guys about the A&T move. All right, I dominated FCS, right? I dominated HBCU football, which is FCS. If I was gonna make a move, wouldn't I have made a move to Division 1A so I could get some conference money, some TP package money? They went out on a limb and said we gonna go over to this other PWI conference, and that way we don't have to travel as much. You know, you gotta spend money to make money to win. People like winners, man.
They didn't want to put that $5 million up, coach, to move up. That's what it was. That's what I'm saying. I understand why they left the MEAC. We left the MEAC. I think the MEAC had a lot of internal problems. I think that they did not appreciate the big brands that they had. And again, and FAMU should have been in the MEAC anyway. I'm not going to get on that boat. But I think for North Carolina A&T, they really should have sat down with that school and basically said, what do you need to stay? Because we need you to be a foundational piece for this conference. They didn't do it. They allowed them to leave, and the MEAC is where they're at. But for A&T, I'm like you, Coach. Even though they said they have a plan or had a plan, it doesn't look like a plan because they went to the Big South, stayed there. That didn't work out. Now they're the CAA, and again, they're just kind of they're not where they should be. Far as
the reason why the enrollment went up because of football.
Oh well, no, 100%.
All those championships, that they won, and I guarantee you, if they don't get that program going in the right direction, that enrollment is gonna die.
So let me ask y'all this, because I know this is we didn't already went 246, but because I think this point is and I know you have a strong connection to FAMU. You guys would seem like y'all were at the same crossroads that A&T was in.
They did it,
and you guys look for another black conference to be a part of. What was it ever a consideration of FAMU to join the Big South or the conference that Jacksonville State was in, or the one that Kennesaw State is in? Was it ever an option for FAMU to leave the MEAC to join the Southland or one of those?
Well, right, you understand what we did. We actually did what Coach Cole said. We actually went up. we didn't make a parallel move. We actually went up. The problem with our plan, it wasn't because we went independent. We didn't go into a conference. If we had, we were, and again, and I'm just going to tell you, and Coach Cole knows this, and we talked, there's a very famous picture. Jackson State, Southern, FAMU, and I believe Alcorn, Grambling might have been there too, were all going to move up together. They were all going to move up together. When that fell apart, FAMU said, hey, you know what? Because of our pedigree aside, we're just going to do it, and it wasn't thought out. But to Coach's point, it was like, if you're going to move up. Don't move parallel.
Well, Billy Joe told me the whole thing on that. They were kicking butt. They were winning the MEAC year in and year out. And some smart guy got up in the office and talking to the board members, man, we need to take this program to Division 1A. And coach was trying to tell him, yeah, but let's not jump there. Let's start building a program, putting money into the program, building facilities, so when we get there, we'll be able to go recruit against these people y'all talking about playing against. But once again, as I tell you, these no athletic or non-athletic people that talk about numbers and stuff don't understand what does it take to get these programs going in the right direction. You don't jump there. You ease in there. But you first work on your facilities, get some money, as you just said earlier, Rocky. Go find a winning coach, the way to pay him, and then you go. You just don't jump out there and think, oh, it's going to happen like it did in FCS.
Well, Jonathan Ford, okay, I'm not gonna refute this, right? I'll put this in front of the judge and the jury, which is the HBCU family. He says A&T enrollment went up because of our programs, man. We have the top engineering program. Football does not define our university.
No, wait a minute. Let me. Okay, so let me split the baby. Okay, so what was it, Jonathan Ford? North Carolina A&T is an excellent academic university. But what Coach Cole is saying, and this is true, and this goes to PWI, what happened was, and you have to admit this, the Celebration Bowl allowed you to market your school, which allowed that growth. And because you have such a great school, you have more people to know about. So again, as you're being on national TV every year, guess what? You get more kids to come. Guess what those kids say? Hey, man, y'all need to come down here. This is a great school. So it works hand in hand. Let's be clear. Now, I don't believe that they will decrease. But what I will say, because FAMU is one of those growth schools too, we got just as many people that want to come to FAMU as North Carolina A&T. So y'all know that y'all had 40 something, we had 40 something. But for you all during that time, it was a great program builder for the university. So I don't believe that you're going to go down because you've established yourself as a high-ranking HBCU. I think you can stand alone on that. But to Coach Cole's point, you cannot deny that the Celebration Bowl was a great marketing tool for the university. That is fact.
Can y'all hold an engineering seminar and get 50,000 people to come to the seminar and pay $50? No, you can't. Notre Dame is known from Notre Dame because of football. Who knows Vanderbilt? Vanderbilt is one of the best academic schools in the world. Nobody really talks about Vanderbilt, do they, Coach? Miami became Miami. When Miami started winning them championships, everybody wanted to wear that ugly orange and green. When Florida State won them championships and was moving, everybody wanted to wear that ugly, whatever, red and gold. That's just how it is, man. And when these people start getting jealous of these athletic programs that's leading these colleges, they always tear them down. Always. Who wants to wear orange and green now? Nobody. Who wants to wear red and silver Florida State? Nobody. I'm telling you, man, football is the start of any program. And if you get a good football program, your school is going to grow. It's going to grow. So, yes, A&T was known by football.
You know, this is one thing this is just my observation, Coach, from somebody who loves football. The opportunity that HBCUs have to market their athletic programs, I'm talking about all of them, seems to be in conflict with their academic mission. And I don't understand why. I don't understand why it's in conflict with your academic mission. You can have great athletics and also a great academic portfolio of programs. They are not mutually exclusive. You can do both, and there are organizations that do both very well.
You know what, at the University of Alabama, you know what Nick Saban would do with his money? He would make so much money on winning so many championships, Coach. He would give all the professors raises from the football program. Do you hear the University of Alabama talking about, well, man, we ain't known about football? They'll tell you, we're known by football. They'll tell you. And like you say, Rocky, all these HBCUs, that's where the conflict comes. Where's the camera on? Is it on the head coach or is it on the president? Is it on the AD? Where's it on? Who cares? We all win together.
And let me say this, Coach. I don't think it's acceptable for you as an organization to be willing to field a team in any sport and accept losing. Why? Just don't play the sport if you're going to lose.
Well, I want listen. I'm going to defend. I know those. I grew up in the MEAC as far as college. I'm going to defend the North Carolina A&T people don't want losing. That is a prideful bunch over there. And I'm telling you, when they made that run, they was talking. That bunch was talking, and they were winning championships. I think going back to Coach Cole's point, which is very important, sometimes the people that make those decisions come in conflict with the athletic mission. And I think, again, while the people from A&T and the alumni say, well, we were trying to do this and we're going to go this, I think, again, because I guarantee, if they will be honest, and they wouldn't say it out in public, they would much rather be in the MEAC playing in the Celebration Bowl every year than being where they're right now. They can't deny that, because that gave them cachet. Because, again, it's something. That's why I'm a proponent for the Celebration Bowl, and for this reason, for promoting our university. I understand, because first of all, FAMU won the whole damn thing. So we know what that, and we won playoff games. And I saw the playoff games where nobody went, nobody cared, and I saw what the Celebration Bowl did. There is a difference. There is a pride about that. There's a promotion about that. So that has a lot to do with it.
Coach Campbell, you lived it. You lived it at Florida A&M.
Yeah.
Coach Billy Joe was winning every year.
And winning playoff games.
The engineering department was great. Everything was great. And because Billy Joe wasn't in agreement with them going to Division 1A, they fired him. Right, Bishop? And what happened to y'all program, Coach?
We were in the wilderness for 10 years. Lost a whole decade.
And let me say this, and I'll let you guys close it out after this. I don't think it's a conflict, academics and athletics. Because at the end of the day, in the year of 2023, the #1 public HBCU in the country did what, Dr. Bishop? I mean, what, Bishop Campbell?
Hey, man, HBCU national champions. It can be done. I mean, A&T, like I say, they did it. They are a top-ranked, well, again, if we're one, they're always two. So I'm not going to take that away from them. So they have done it. But I'm going back to Coach Cole's point. This goes back to people that do not understand the jointness of athletics and academics. We used to understand that. What happened, and we still do it with the band. They send the band, Jack State's going to the Rose Bowl, FAMU's going to the Rose Bowl. And that's a gateway, and you're going to see it. You know, FAMU is in Tallahassee, Florida. Jack State's in Jackson, Mississippi. So these are the gateways that we have used, and again, can make money, to Coach Cole's point, because if you got a good program, those people at North Carolina A&T went to those football games when they're winning. We go to our football games when we're winning. Jack State goes to those football games when they're winning. Southerner will go to those football games when they're winning. So again, I think what we have to do, we have to have an honest assessment about both the academic mission and the athletic mission, and understand they work hand in hand.
Let athletic people make athletic decisions. When we were at Tennessee State, Coach, we had 44,000 people come to homecoming. When we were there, they still hold all the attendance records when we were at Tennessee State. Why? Is it because of Eddie George, or is it because we won national championships? It's because we won national championships, man. And the school has went down since then. Well, we'll have this conversation in about 2 years, guys, when North Carolina A&T don't get out of the hole, finish at the bottom of the conference, and we'll see. They'll be crying to get back into the MEAC. So we'll leave it at that.
Hey, guys. Hey, man, I appreciate everyone for, watching the show, man. We've had up to 200 watchers tonight, man. We got 150 right now watching as we close out the show. I want to thank you guys for watching in. Bishop Campbell, Coach Cole, go ahead and take us out, and we're gonna get out of here.
Hey, man, I'm gonna beat this drum one more time, and I'm gonna say this: we all are part of a big HBCU family. Of course, we've seen the situation that happened with Puffy and his situation. That is no reflection on Jack State University. And the people are making memes and jokes like that and things like that. And I think, once again, instead of promoting the greatness of our HBCUs, we're looking for things to tear them down. Same thing with FAMU, with the 227, Jack State with the water, Grambling with this, and all that stuff. And I'm just asking people, you represent your university. Represent your university with pride. Don't tear down another university. don't try to put negativity to another university, because Jackson State University stands on their own from 1877 and will be here to 2077. Same thing with Florida A&M. So again, I'm asking all, and like I say, and again, I'm gonna beat this drum. I know it sounds like a broken record, but to my young people, y'all got to slow down with this negativity. You got to slow down, because you are doing a disservice with your university. So support your universities, talk about your university in pride, and respect other universities. That's all I got, Coach.
Well, once again, we were talking about the debate, and I mean, we watched the debate last week, and hold on for a minute, 8 months, and you seen the tales of two people. Now I'm gonna say this, yeah, I'm a Kamala Harris fan. I'm gonna go ahead on and say I'm gonna endorse it. I don't know what we see in this guy. We're talking about the highest office in the land, the highest office. And I know nobody's on earth is perfect, but to be able to be in that office, you got to respect that office. That got to be a person that, I'm not saying perfect because none of us are perfect, but he's got to have a person in there that has some integrity, some character. And I really feel that the person in that office, because when you look at the country, you look at 10% are rich, 80% are middle class, high, middle, and low middle class. And then you got the last part, 10%, maybe lesser, that are poor. And the 80% have been running the country because of our taxes. Okay? So if we got a president come in and say, okay, hey, we know you're rich 10%, but you can give more. That's all we asking. You can give more. It's almost like, I don't even know how you can even like President Trump, former President Trump, for that office. That's all I'm saying. I don't know him as a person, but I know what comes out of his mouth. And that's all I'm saying, is that is the highest office in the land. People that got money, stop being selfish. I know he's gonna cut some. Y'all don't want him to cut your taxes. I know that. Y'all don't want immigrants to come in across the land, but this country's built off immigrants. Hell, we all are immigrants, just about. We all are. So, and I would like a person to be able to tell me specifically what your policies are, what your values are, and then display that. And for some reason, I just can't even see why they even close this year in the voting thing. I really don't. I've seen some things. It's almost like we're looking at Trump as this beautiful woman that we want to get to know because he got money and everything, and we think that he's going to give us something or whatever. But it ain't that. It's who is the person. The person. We're choosing the person for the highest office in the land. And that person should be able to think like the majority, bend with the majority, know how the majority or need. If everybody is successful in this society, we'll make more money, it'll be more happier people, and it'll be a better world. That's what it's. So, as I always say, life is great, man. I tell you, life is wonderful. My life has been a roller coaster just like anybody else's. And I show hate, I show love when I'm at that top. You know what I'm saying? And as one would say, don't be afraid of failing, be afraid of not trying. So if you're feeling low, if you feel yourself at the end of the rope, as I always say, you tie a knot and you hold on tight, because ain't nobody